All right, let's see if this works. And boom goes the dynamite.
You know, my wife got hacked. Did I tell you that? My wife's Instagram.
Save that for a second. We got to talk about that.
They got the Instagram account.
Oh no!
And it's so funny because I realized there's an instant guilt that hits with people. She got all defensive, and I was like, "It's not your fault. What do you like? I'm mad because some scumbags taken your account, not because you did something wrong."
Well, I think it's
not even hacking. It's not even. That's too.
No, it's like social. It's social engineering is what it is.
It's just scummy.
Yeah. The thing is you have to assume that everything's going to get hacked nowadays. Like you can never have the presumption of safety. Like I don't care if you have two-factor authentication and like some rolling number generator. You have to assume that at some point there's going to be some employee that wasn't properly trained or wasn't listening during orientation. That somebody's going to call up on the phone and be like, "Oh my god, if you don't give me the master root password, this baby's going to die." And they're going to be like, "No, take it." And then the whole company's like taking over and billions of dollars down the toilet.
Well, and it's not even us that has to worry about it. It's like any of the companies we use can be done, right? I mean, and we've discovered, like, as we're discovering with like Instagram and Facebook right now, they don't give a crap. Like you care less. Oh, look, you're posting more. Look at all the posts we're getting because you mentioned hacking in your Instagram account.
Well, and even if they do get in trouble, like I saw something recently, I think it was like Facebook got fined $38 million for
it's like an hour
something up. Yeah, I'm like, that's like if you were to write me a ticket for 13 cents, like it literally doesn't. It does not matter to them. That's a drop.
You got me, officer. You got me. Here's my 13 cents.
I talk about this all the time over on the Twitch channel where it's like here in the United States, penalties are based on dollar amounts, not on percentage of wages.
Yeah.
So you eventually get to a point where you're so freaking rich that you just do everything because you make more money by committing the crime than paying for it and restitution.
Well, it's like the stories you'll see floating around on the internet, like, oh, I have this rich buddy who just like he'll park somewhere, and I'm like, dude, you can't park there. Like, it's illegal to park there. He goes, no, it's not. It cost me $300 to park here.
Exactly.
Like, yeah.
Like, no, it's a $300 parking spot. That's all. Like, it
just makes you want to punch someone in the nuts. Because
I think if you get a ticket in a car, right? Isn't that considered like moving violations or whatever? Aren't those considered like non-misdemeanor or non-felony? So basically, you can just have as many of them as you want.
Yeah, you can rack up parking violations all day long. Like, I think eventually they'll get you. Like, if you have a stack of them, they'll come and tow you or something.
But if you pay them, they don't give a shit, do they?
Yeah. I don't think they do, honestly. Like here's a great example. Okay, so I get this years ago. This is even before my son was born. We're driving around in this city called Yelm up here in Washington, and we get rear-ended by a dude. Just slams into us at a stop sign. Well, he slammed into us because his girlfriend was checking his zipper, and he rear-ended
when those zippers get stuck.
Yep, and I look in the rearview mirror as soon as I get rear-ended, and I see a head pop up. Whoop, his girlfriend or whatever pops up.
Oh my god!
He jumps out of the car, comes like running over. He's like, dude, hey, pull over. We'll don't worry, I'll take care of it. And I'm like, what the hell just happened? So the dude gets out, he opens up his wallet, and he's like, he's gonna give me like everything in his wallet, which I think he had like $700 for some reason. Well, it must have been a drug dealer or something. He's like, I will give you $700
to pay the prostitute.
He's like, don't call the cops. Don't call the cops.
Oh my god!
I'm like, dude, I gotta call the cops. You rear-ended me, like, and you have no insurance because I asked him for his insurance. He's like, dude, I don't have insurance. This isn't my car. Anyways, I call the cops because I'm like, I'm gonna do the right thing, right? I'm not gonna just take this guy's bribe and let him just get away with like rear-ending people and driving around without insurance. The cop shows up on site, walks up to his window without even talking to me. Spends like 5 minutes talking to him, writes him a citation for no insurance, and lets him go.
Yep.
And he just drives off. And I'm like, okay, well, at least the cop must have got his insurance or something that I can do. The cop walks up, he's like, oh yeah, no, he was uninsured, so I wrote him for that. So what's the problem? Or whatever? Well, he rear-ended us. well, I know, but like, what's the problem? Like, what's the damage? And he looks at the back of our vehicle and he goes, oh, that's not much damage. The cop says this, and I'm like, so I'm a little pissed off. He's like, okay, I need to see your license and registration. So I pull out my license and I start taking my phone to show him my insurance because my insurance is on my phone. Yeah. And he goes, sir, put your phone down, because I kept trying to show it to him. Put your phone down. Show me your proof of insurance. I'm like, dude, it's on my phone. He's like, nope, I don't accept that. He's like, you have to have a card in your wallet. I'm like, I do not. Washington State allows me to have it on my phone.
Yeah.
And so I start arguing with him, and he says, if you keep talking like that, I'm going to put you in cuffs and take you downtown. And so I was like, zip it.
Wow.
And so he wrote me a ticket for uninsured motorist for $700, the amount the dude was going to give me to just drive away.
Oh my God.
And I never got his insurance, and I never got his name, and I had to pay my insurance to repair the vehicle, which was like $1,200.
Oh.
So think twice before calling the cops if somebody just hands you a grip shit of money, like when they rear-end you, because the system's corrupt.
I got dinked one time, and the gal was freaking out, like she was like a nurse.
This dude was too. This dude like literally, he even told me, "This ain't my girl. This ain't my girl, dude. We can't know about this. This ain't my girl."
Yeah.
Like I was like, "Oh
funny.
crap."
She was like, I'm like on. So she was like worried about losing her nursing license or something. Like she was like half in trouble or something. She was just sweating
Was
it
she
real
working
bad.
when she hit you?
No, but I think she'd like just come off shift or something, and she's like,
and how do you get to work without a car?
I'm like, and I'm in like my beat up, funky, like, 92 Jetta or something. Like, I don't care. She just kind of barely bumped me. Like she thought I was taking off from a turn or something, and she just boop, like just goosed it just a little bit. Couldn't even tell. Neither of us. Like her license plate was a little bent or something. She cuts $400 out of the ATM, just hands it over to me. I'm like, oh shit, okay. This is way more than what the damage would have been anyway, but it was like, it's like a funky old Jetta. Like, what do I care? I was totally fine with the whole thing, but she was sweating it hard. So it worked out for me.
I guess people worry you're going to sue them or something, I guess, right?
I'm starting to wonder why I even have insurance, because I've been rear-ended 3 times. One of them, the dude didn't have any paperwork. The second time, the guy was a hit and run. The dude pushed me into an intersection and just drove around me and kept going.
Yeah.
It's like, I do not have the greatest luck with being, I think one time I was rear-ended, we actually got the insurance information and it was actually handled properly.
Yeah.
Where they paid the deductible or whatever. And it was like, I just gave them my vehicle, they fixed it and gave it back to me. Out of 3 times though, it's like, what am I paying for here?
Yeah. I had one covered completely. Yeah. They rear-ended the Jeep. Same deal. Thought I was taking off, but it was like the turn light had turned green. I didn't move. I'm in the Jeep, right? Like I know what I'm doing. And they just crunch right into me.
Oh man.
And okay. But that was 100% like their fault. Everything got covered. We both had insurance and stuff. Like everything worked out just fine. But
that's the way it's supposed to work. You're all supposed to have insurance, and it's all supposed to. But of course, Well, I had a guy run over my motorcycle once.
Isn't Washington an at-fault state? So like, if somebody rear-ends you, it like doesn't matter what the situation is, they're at fault.
I guess so.
Because there's different states have different laws. Like I know there's some states where even if you get rear-ended, both people are to blame. Like both insurances have to kick in.
I'd be pissed. I would be
I think
pissed.
that's a no fault. I think that's what we have. I think.
And I think in Washington though, we're lucky enough to be, if you rear-end somebody, you're at fault. So whoever initiates, whoever's front of the car contacts the other vehicle is the one that's automatically at fault, regardless.
That's how it used to be, but I think it's changed here. I don't know.
Oh man.
What sucks about it though is a friend of mine was in a McDonald's drive-through, and the person a new driver put the vehicle in reverse instead of first to leave, and they stepped on the gas and just backed right into him, slammed into him, like
that ain't right.
Take off. And so he ended up having to pay for it.
That's wrong. Like it should be more situational. Yeah, that's not cool.
He didn't have a dash cam.
I'm never driving again.
And McDonald's wasn't required to give up the footage, which I think is horseshit, by the way. Like McDonald's has a camera in their drive-through, but they can basically.
You're going to say McDonald's is horseshit.
I think.
Well, I like McDonald's.
I like McDonald's.
I like a Big Mac once every 10 years.
If you pressed it hard enough, I bet you could subpoena them and all that stuff. But like, how far are you going to take it? Like, are you going to actually have a lawyer draw up the right paperwork to get them to give you, like, they're not going to give it to you just for asking. Like, you're going to have to compel them to give you the.
Well, it's going to be like diminishing returns. Pain in the ass. It's you've got the. It's just like some days it's just like, you know what? Fine.
It just ain't worth it.
Freaking It's like you do the math and you go, you know what? It just makes more sense to me pay $100 here, and then I don't have a month of misery. And
the other thing too is like I noticed that our state won't, like, they go out of their way not to incriminate themselves. So like the only thing that I've ever been found guilty of in a courtroom, because I've been to court 3 times now, the only thing that I lost was the thing that I didn't actually do. like the two that I beat, I absolutely did it, and I just went to court and was like, I didn't do it, and they're like, okay, fine, go home.
Wasn't me.
The third time that I actually didn't do it, like I legitimately, like, there is proof in the world that I did not commit this crime. That's the one that stuck. The funny thing was they got me for driving. They claimed that I drove through a crosswalk while somebody was still in it. And they claimed that they have me doing it because it was a sting operation and they intentionally had people entering the sidewalk to test people. First of all, I didn't even drive down the road that they said I drove down. I didn't even go through the crosswalk they claimed. And there's a camera at that crosswalk. So when I sent in for discovery, I said I wanted the video from that crosswalk camera at that time index that they pulled me over 15 minutes before and after so that I could show that my car never went down that way that day. and they refused me. they would not look at the footage.
Well, because that would prove us wrong.
It would prove that they were wrong. Exactly. So because they wouldn't pull that footage, they're like, oh, sorry, we have to side with the officer who claims that like 3 months ago, your car that's the wrong color with the license plate that's the wrong license plate in the Discovery is actually you.
We're gonna like just get rid of money. Goodbye, money. Let's use something else. Let's go back to bartering for goats and stuff. Like,
dude, it would still happen. I swear, the cop would like pull up to your window. You just hand him a chicken, and he'd look the other way. And
right.
It'd be the same thing, just on a different scale. Be like, pull you over. You'd have like a truckload of smokes behind you or something. Be like, hey, dude, I'll unhitch it, and you can just take it.
You gonna finish that burger, son? No, you go ahead.
What? No. What burger?
No, we were at a border once, and they said you're not allowed to bring the burgers across the border.
Are you kidding?
What?
Yeah, it was Canadian meat, and they couldn't bring the Canadian meat into because there was some kind of a fight between the various different. So I said, okay. I said, all right, and so we sat there and waited at the border. Made my fries,
like holding up the line.
Ate the whole, held up the line, held up everything, and then I said, okay, I finished that. Do I need to come back and take a dump here so that it doesn't end up in like a bathroom or something I need to use?
I got the meat is still inside of me.
I got so snappy about it because I was like, I'd got my passport. I was like American now, so I was like, yeah, what are you gonna do, huh? Yeah, freedom.
Like, but the thing is, it's like at a certain point, it's like you got to use common sense. It's like, are you really smuggling meat into the United States by holding a half-eaten cheeseburger? Like, are you going to cross the border and sell it to some kid for like $7 or something? Like,
right? It's somebody, probably somebody just taking it a little too far. You know,
it's also, I've got a big mouth too. There's anything to declare, and I'm like, no, just McDonald's. They're like,
it's like the spirit of the law versus the word. You know, like, yes, technically, based on exactly this like strict interpretation, you're not supposed to do this, but who's you're not, violating commerce law by bringing a Canadian McDonald's across the border.
Right. It's like,
well, that was a weird spot too.
Nobody's ever
where there was like the border. There is no border. I mean, there's a border as a hedge. Like, it's easier just to walk through the hedge than it is to actually drive the border. But of course, so anyone who's doing illegal activity just walks through the hedge.
Well, did you see like up by the Great Lakes? So up by the Great Lakes, apparently there's just a dirt road that goes into Canada, and there's like a little unmanned booth there with like a camera phone, and you're supposed to like pull over and go in there and like show them your passport on the camera. There was a news station that did like a test of it. They wanted to see like, how legit is this? Like, do they know if you just drive through? Nope, they just drove through right into Canada, spent 3 hours in Canada, drove right back. They did it like 8 or 10 times, and nobody ever stopped them. So then they're like, okay, well, let's do it the official way. Let's open up this little booth, go inside, and turn on the video camera and show them our passport and everything. And it's a complete honor system thing. Like, yet you come over, you go like, a couple miles this way or a couple miles this way, and then you have to go through like a checkpoint. Like, checking under your cars and mirrors and asking you if you have guns and fruit in your trunk.
It's ridiculous.
It's like,
I remember the marina in Point Roberts, you had to call. Say, hi, I just come in from the States. Could someone come and check the boat? So I can imagine how many phone calls they got.
No. Like, you're really gonna go through the trouble. Like, you know what? It'd be really cool to put myself behind schedule today by letting people come down here and look at my boat for 5 hours.
And anybody who actually calls, they do not want to get stuck on a boat with them.
No.
Oh, have you seen in here? Did you look in here, eh? Oh yeah, check out this out, eh?
Well, I've been out in a boat and boarded by the game wardens before. You can tell they do not enjoy their job. You can tell that they're just angry from the time they start work to the end of the day, because like every time that me and my dad would go fishing, they'd pull up alongside of us, and their boat that's like 6 times the size of ours. They'd have like 3 dudes like board our boat. They'd make sure that our life preservers like we're not expired and like in the right positions, and make sure that our license. There's no way you could ever like satisfy them 100%, and if you were lucky, they'd just let you go. They'd give you a stern talking to, like, that piss bucket is not regulation. You get that fixed. Oh yes, sir. Okay. Thank you. All right. And they get on their boat and go hassle the next guy. And I'm like, God, that's got to be like the most unfulfilling job ever, is just going around and harassing fishermen.
Right?
Like, there are definitely weekends that I'd love to do that, though. There are definitely weekends that I'm in a bad mood. I'd love to just drive around going like, hey, how big's that fish you just caught? Just make a total dick about
Oh my God. Yeah, dude, David, I could see you doing that. Kind of like, Steven Seagal trying to be lawman or whatever.
What can I do? That fish is 1 inch below its proper.
Sir, that fish doesn't have all of its scales. Were you abusing it?
You're swimming home, son. I'm taking this boat.
Sir, you have to put a blanket over the side of the boat to hurt the fish.
A little bit of authority. That would be the last thing I need.
Eric, thank you for that $5 super chat, man. We appreciate it, brother.
I should be in the chat.
He said, "Woo! Awesome tech talk. My drive is a lot better for the next 3 hours. We'll be lurking in the back of the class while I drive."
Nice.
Knock yourself out, brother. Well, I mean, don't knock yourself out while you're driving a
don't do that. That's bad.
Truck or whatever.
Bad idea.
Don't do that.
We were just talking about that yesterday. Like people that break check truck drivers. Like, what are you thinking? You psycho?
Oh my god. Yeah, exactly.
Like,
gotcha.
Do you not learn physics? Like, even basic like childhood physics. It's like that truck can't stop even if it wants to. So threatening it really isn't going to work out well for you.
People, oh god, just a little bit of common sense, folks. That's all we need.
Yeah. Hey, what's up, Pup Shepherd? How's it going, man?
Oh snap!
It's good to see you, Pup in the house. Oh my god.
So, am I the only one who's like super stoked for this D&D stuff? I'm just gonna say, I'm freaking stoked. Like I've been
ready to cast some magic.
James is really good, by the way.
Yeah.
But of course, I still haven't figured out what the hell I'm gonna do. Is it him being a bard?
Not that I know of.
I'm thinking about being really annoying and like bringing like a ukulele down, which I don't even know how to play.
Doesn't matter,
it up, man.
That'd
and
be
whenever I have to do something, I'll sing. Oh, magic missile!
I love it. I go buy some fireworks and just set it off every time I do magic missile. Like turn the camera and just set off like a Saturn missile battery.
Roll the dice to see if I'm drunk.
You know what's funny? Somehow or another I had like signed up for it was probably a free trial for this program called Voice Mod, and I just got dinged for $15 for a year for it a couple days ago. And I'm like, oh god, bless America. Yeah, right. I'm like, well, I got a year of this stuff, and then like all of this D&D stuff comes up, and I'm like, dude, perfect way. I'm gonna have like a voice changer for my guy. It's gonna be cool.
Thursday, right? We're doing it Thursday.
Yeah, that's the plan.
It's Thursday, and we're doing it on your channel, Barnacules. That's right?
Fine. You can do it wherever you want, buddy.
Yeah,
I think we should do it on your channel.
That's what I think. Do it on my channel. That's fun.
We're all gonna have like different voices, and we get in there.
I'll have to install it and stuff. It's gonna be cool.
Actually, that would be pretty funny to just have us all have like a random voice changer, and then like when we're out of character, like don't use it, and then when you go into character for your turn, use it.
That's my plan.
Double the people in the game.
Yeah.
Well, James R. Gurney was doing a number of voices last time, and I was quite impressed. He does a very good Christopher Walken. I think it was a Christopher Walken. I think that's what he was doing. So he's got some good ones. And then we've got Q and Gimpy G playing as well. So I guess now are we gonna do are we gonna chat through character creation or something? What's the plan for that? What do you think?
I mean, I guess it's up to Mr. Jim.
Yeah, I think we're just he's the dungeon master.
I had assumed some point either today or tomorrow we would do some some sort of session 0. Everybody kind of think about what they're making. I put one character into the campaign already. But I have other ideas if we need. I'm super flexible. Have you already logged in to do the whole? If you log into what is it, Roll20 or whatever it is, that's D&D Beyond is where
D&D Beyond, right.
Mr. Jim had the campaign. Yeah,
you've already done your homework. I was reading all about bards and stuff.
Yeah,
last night, all about the things that they can do. It's pretty amazing.
It is.
I'm pull the threads of magic and weave them with music.
Yes, the music. Yeah, I'm excited. This is gonna be so fun.
You know what sucks? I just realized I'm like why are there only a couple of people in here right now? Like I think there's 157 people. It's usually double that. Well, guess what? I put deepfake in the title, and that just shadow banned us from notifications going out.
Oh, you think so?
Yeah, I'm positive of it. I'm absolutely positive of it because if you look at the viewership on our other streams and how fast people come in within the period of time, it's always between 250 and 300 by now.
Maybe we're just waning. Maybe our time in the sun is just waning, and this is it.
This is my favorite. He does this. Oh man, Mr. Jim, I wanted to play D&D so bad, like so bad.
What?
You
Jim?
have no idea. Yeah.
Jim the Evo. I was reading about bards, for God's sake. Big deal. He put his name in that thing.
I legit have my own DMG, my own player's handbook. I have the Eberron source book as well. I'm ready to go. Whatever. I also don't tell the feds or whatever, but I also have like gobs and gobs of PDFs if you guys need source books.
Oh, really? Oh, yeah. So I mean, the great thing about the way you can play online now is, first off, he's got this whole 3D Tailspire thing.
Dude, Tailspire is sick.
Oh my God, it's great. And Jim the Evo's been busy with it too.
Cool.
But and then also with D&D Beyond and stuff, it's just all the roles and everything. Like all the, I mean, I still spend every turn goes like this for me. What am
I doing?
Which window am I? I don't understand. Yeah. And then basically Jim gets bored and says, all right, I'll roll for you, idiot. And then that's basically how we do it. Yeah. But then I'll bring out my ukulele.
Nice.
So for D&D, like how does it work? Like, do we have like a website or some framework we're using or something? Or
yeah.
Well, that's this Tailspire and D&D Beyond.
Oh, Tailspire is okay. That's I was wondering what that was. I didn't
you don't. You won't have to. We as players won't necessarily have to get Tailspire if you want to spend the $25. Great.
Okay.
We'll probably
throw some money at them. I should buy it anyway, just because I feel like
I was thinking the same thing. What I picture happening is since Jim has it, we will have like he'll like share his screen or something, and we can just kind of tell him, oh, hey, move my guy this way or over there. If you do own it, you can join in the game and do it yourself.
Oh, really?
Oh,
yeah. It's like a big virtual tabletop, basically. It's not like system specific or anything. And for $25, it's gorgeous. Like I'm probably gonna get it just because I feel like this is gonna lead me into playing more games.
We may have lost Ox now. We'll never see him for Tech Talk again. He's gonna have his own. He's gonna have his own.
I backed a Kickstarter for an app for like play by post style games. I'm part of another website / app called Rollgate that does the same. It's like text based sort of play by post style.
Right.
Yeah, man, I want to play Dungeons and Dragons a lot.
I'm excited. I'm more excited now, but now I'm nervous because you sound like you know what you're doing.
I mean, in theory, like I've wanted to do this for a long time.
It's okay.
But
Barnacules
in practice,
and I are there just to cause chaos. It's fine.
Yeah, in practice, I've not. I don't. You know.
Hey, you don't tell me how to play my D&D, okay? I get a different kind of satisfaction out of just throwing the game into a death spiral and making everybody frustrated because I'm.
Jerry and I are going to be like,
well, that's no fun. Nobody wants that. We want to play.
Oh, I'm going to play. I'm gonna play off.
Just don't say you want to sleep your turn, because that's what my tech bandits do.
What the hell is the point of sleep? Like what?
I don't know. They're teenagers. Like, they're just obnoxious. No,
you're just like, I don't want to play. Just implied sleep. I'm gonna play some Halo.
I take the guard action every time.
Oh,
hey, 20 Canadian. Thanks for the $6 in US money.
20 Canadian. That's like, how many rubles is that?
Like
that's like 7 trillion rubles right now.
That's like a mortgage payment in Russia right now.
Did you see that Russia said they were going to pay their debt in rubles? Like tried to like troll the international community. And they're like, nah, you're just in default now.
Yeah, right.
Like people
are like, you know what? Maybe we'll just take a meme coin instead.
Yeah, exactly. Like, do you take Doge?
Oh God, the finance stuff is. I keep watching all these documentaries on like the birth of Russia and all these like history of Russia and all this kind of stuff, because I'm just so curious as to how we got here. I mean, we never did Russian history in school. It was always Canadian history, which is the boringest history, But I also didn't listen. But there's just some great stuff out there. One of them was talking about all the oligarchs, how apparently it was Nixon. Apparently Nixon called it, said, you know what's going to happen is the Soviets going to fail, and if the Soviet fails, their version of capitalism is going to lead to these massive oligarch type running the country. And he's like, hey, you got it right.
And the weird thing is a lot of the oligarchs aren't even in Russia. A lot of them are like spread out all around the world at any given time. Like, and to be fair, I think a lot of them don't even support what's going on right now because it's like hitting them in the wallet really bad. And they're like, whoa. Like,
although the sense I get though is if you're an oligarch in Russia, you've got to have some kind of a deal with Putin.
Well, yeah, I'd imagine you'd have to, because he pretty much can snap his fingers and make your wealth disappear.
Yeah,
I mean, so I'd imagine the oligarchs do have to bend a little bit of a knee, but as I understand it, a lot of them have been speaking out though. Like the one oligarch that owns like the Chelsea Football League or whatever, who's selling it now.
He's trying. He's trying. The fucking UK, yeah, the UK froze him from it. He was trying.
Oh no way! Did they really?
Yeah,
I didn't hear that. Okay, so he can't even sell it if he wants to.
Yeah, there's a couple. They're running. I keep getting these little like tweets about like so and so seen at Israel's airport or something, like all these different like. It's like there's like a witch hunt on now, which I think again the problem is we're sort of tarring them all with the same brush, really, aren't we? Where it's like,
Yeah.
who knows who's legit and who's just funneling money into the
Yeah,
into
did you see
Putin's
the
pocket.
speech? Did you see the speech yesterday? The one that
my
got cut
God.
off like halfway through because of a technical
Oh.
problem. That was pretty funny.
Oh, it was. Oh God, he just revolts me now.
Yeah, they interviewed
Not
a
that
bunch of people afterwards, and they're like, "We were forced to come to this event. Like, we were handed a flag and forced to wave it because they said that we would lose our jobs if we didn't."
Wow.
And the teachers, all the schools, they said all the teachers from the schools have to show up and they have to wave flags, and if they don't, they're terminated. So
Gross.
it's like
That's so weird.
That's some North Korea stuff, man. That's like,
I mean, it's only gonna get worse too, right? Because he's now those speeches about how we've got to dig out the people who are the traitors and the
the whole we're gonna spit out our own people like bugs or something. He says was like flies. He's gonna chew them up and spit them out or something. I was like, what the hell does that mean, dude? Like, now you're making idle threats towards your own people. He was limping too. I didn't notice it. Like when I
was just
for
sympathy.
They said he was limping. Like, yeah, probably.
He's trying to be more likable.
Brace on.
See, I'm human just like you. Look.
Oh my
God! He's just moving. Maybe he's just going full Bond villain. Maybe he's just like, you know what? Those Bond villains all have limps. I should get an electronic eye too.
Oh, Yorkshire Techie just said, yeah, the owner of Chelsea Football League was put on the sanctions list, so he can't sell it.
Yeah.
Because if he sold it, he'd be able to transfer his wealth into something else, and they wouldn't be able to sanction him anymore. So they're like, nope.
Tell you what, I'll give him rubles for it.
the only thing worth less than Doge. No, I'm just kidding.
Yes. My God.
Well, they said at one point below Doge now.
Was it you? Somebody told me that apparently Roblox is like the Robux, the Roblox money in. Was that you, Ox, that told me that?
No, but I saw that.
No, I didn't see this. What happened?
Yeah. So the in-game currency for Roblox is called Robux.
Uh-huh.
It's worth like 100 times the ruble now.
Yep.
Oh, that's hilarious.
Yeah.
That'd be funny.
Although that's
all the
not that
oligarchs
surprising.
start buying Robux. they're like converting their wealth. Like, oh my God, you ain't gonna sanction my video game.
I mean, it's I laugh about it, but at the same time, I'm just like, I dread to think what's going to happen. Like,
this is super unpredictable. That's
and
like,
we're talking money, and there's just people getting blown up for no, like, it's just, oh God, it's just,
it's like, so like, you can't make any sense out of it, really. Like, yeah, that's the thing that throws me off the most about it is like, you don't really know what he's going to do because he's not following any prescribed plan. He's not, he doesn't have any like plan B or any alternate outcomes or alternate options. He's just like, no, I'm either going to like do this or die.
Yikes.
It's like one of the first times someone's actually put the nuclear card on the table too. Like
a long time, right?
Has anyone done that for like, who did that?
I think the Cuban Missile Crisis would probably be the closest we ever came to.
But did they actually say they were going to nuke somebody?
Yeah,
did they say
no.
that?
The United States, we were in a direct standoff with Russia. If they didn't turn those ships around, we would have launched.
Really?
Yeah, like people were literally
buying
buying like bunkers and stuff under their house because they knew that we were building to that.
I still want a bunker. Even if we don't nuke something, I want a bunker.
Right? it would be pretty cool.
Just wouldn't it be neat? I'm just like, where are you, honey? I'm in the bunker. It's like, extra big space under the garden somewhere. I'd love that.
See, I mean, I guess it lets you live for a little while longer. Like if you had a bunker and you weren't within the blast.
You could die of radiation slowly instead.
Yeah, exactly, right? It's like, okay, I'm in my bunker. You're like, yes, I survived the initial blast wave. And then your little Geiger counter starts going, and you're like, shit.
I think there's not a lot of ways around it, really. I mean,
well, how are you going to test your filtration system? Like, until it happens, you're going to be like, shit, I shouldn't have got the eBay filtration system.
I've run out of filters. My filter's clogged.
It's not like you're going to go back and return it, right? Like, I want a refund. This didn't filter out the cesium particles you said it would. You bastards.
Well, Amazon would probably still be delivering because, like cockroaches, it'll probably survive the apocalypse.
Probably. Well, since we're on the topic, we can hit for one of the topics.
What? What are you talking about?
The deepfakes.
Tech Talk never talks about the topics.
I know.
What you guys have changed since I've been here?
I know. We're just different people.
Different.
So I didn't actually see this. You guys, when you posted it, this is the first time I saw this. But there's like actual deep fakes on both sides going around now, like declaring peace, like trying to fool the people into thinking peace was declared.
Yeah.
Like how freaking creepy is that?
Yeah.
This is weird.
Especially when you think like if Russia shuts down their networks. If Russia does a China and creates like the great red curtain or whatever it is, the digital curtain,
then
they could be sending out these things saying like, look, he's he's given up, and that's the end of it, and everything's fine. Here's a video of Biden saying how much he likes what I did in Ukraine.
Yeah, they can completely control the narrative, right?
Ukraine. Yeah.
And then the thing is, like, a lot of people that aren't technologically inclined, like, the older generation and stuff like that, they're probably just going to believe it. like
although it's not a very good one. The Zelensky one's not very good.
No, this kind of obvious.
That was awful. That was so bad.
But it just I think it's more the idea of it that's kind of creepy than anything else. Like that's what you can do with no resources. Imagine if you actually spent some time and money on getting it right.
It's bonkers. Well, like there was one there. All it really takes is just time. Honest. I mean, in part, like with somebody like who has like a big public face like that, there's plenty of footage to go around.
Oh my god, yeah.
And so, especially when those
people could do us just from the tech talks.
Well, yeah, like the press conferences are usually like very clinically, the lighting and stuff is all the same. They're always standing in the same place. They don't move a lot. They're usually facing directly into the camera. All of that stuff makes it super, super easy. And it's not tough. There's even we're playing around with there's a software called DeepFake Live, and
I've seen it. Yep.
And it'll do it. It's exactly what it says on the tin. It'll do it live. Like you can, with enough data, with enough footage and stuff of somebody else's. I think like it comes baked in with like Tom Cruise and Sylvester Stallone or something.
Yeah.
And it'll do it live. It's like a Snapchat filter. It just works. It's pretty weird. It's spooky stuff, man.
So you just gotta get like a vocal impersonator, and you got it.
Yeah.
Well, no, because they can do that too, right? They take the audio.
Saw that. No, I'm talking for live though. I don't think they can do audio synthesis live now. I think they can do. They can do the audio synthesis.
You give it
a 10-second
delay. You give it a 10-second delay or something, and it'll be perfect.
Well, did you ever see the YouTube channel Nile Green? Okay, so this is actually pretty amazing. This will demonstrate how good voice synthesis has got, like when you use technology to basically emulate somebody who has a very constant voice.
Yeah,
there's a guy named Nile, or he goes by Nile Red on YouTube, and he also has a channel called Nile Blue, and he basically does chemistry. And he's this guy where he doesn't really show himself on camera all that much. It's usually just his hands, doing experiments with chemicals. Well, a guy created a channel called Nile Green where he basically synthesizes his voice like almost meticulously to the point where you can't tell it's synthesized at all. It's like a perfect representation. And then he does these videos where he created a chemistry setup that looks just like Nile Red's, like same angles, same lenses and everything. And he's like, today we're going to make yellow cake uranium. First you take this and stir it with this. And then, the gas is letting off here. I'll blow that outside. The neighbors won't mind. And he just goes through and he just keeps doing all this like terrible chemistry where he's putting himself in danger, other people in danger, but it's all tongue in cheek. But people actually believed it was him.
Wait, is this the guy who makes artificial sweetener out of his own pee and things?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's the dude. Wow. That's what he does. And so this guy
deserves a follow.
No, his content is really good. Xander and I enjoy watching all of his videos. But the Nile Green guy was actually like getting him in trouble. Like he was getting messaged from people, like from YouTube, and he was getting sent hate mail from people. It's like, dude, you are teaching bad science and dangerous practices and blah, blah, because of the thing. He's like, dude, it's not me. It's not me. It's a parody channel. And it got so bad that they actually had to round up their friends and get the guy who created Nile Green on a video cast to show the world that he is how he's creating these things.
But that's the neat thing about this whole, the terrifying thing about this whole thing is, you don't even need to be good at doing the deep fakes in any way. You can, if you start undermining people's belief in video that's coming out, you've done it, right? In fact, there was an article at the end of that article, they talk about the fact that there were some things that happened in like Myanmar or something like that, where there were like some kind of atrocity or something, I can't remember what it was, that happened. And people didn't believe it was true because rumors had gone out that it was a deep fake. So you just have to start that stuff, and that I mean, Jesus, which of course is what Russia's doing now as well. And I'm to some extent, I'm sure we are as well. But
what happens when video is no longer admissible in court because the deepfakes are so good?
Yeah,
like audio isn't anymore. Of this guy killing this person, but we can't use it.
It's a leapfrog thing. The people who design the AI stuff to make them is also the same people who are making the AI stuff to detect them. What's terrible is like David was saying, it's the public perception. By the time somebody comes along to say, hey, that's fake, it's eroded enough of the belief, the faith, that, you know, well, why should I believe the guy who's saying it's fake? You know, and that kind of thing. It's just more disinformation.
Does news become, you just go to your trusted sources for stuff, but then what happens when your trusted source gets, you know, I mean, like, who's your trusted source now? I don't.
It's like the Ghost of Kiev thing, right? That jet. Yeah. Oh, wow, yeah, he shoot down 6 different Russian fighters. Blah blah blah. He's the ace. Completely fake. People were 100% behind it. Like, hero. Woo.
It was video game footage
for like a week. Yeah, it was. But it's like once you pass it through enough Twitter compressions and stuff, like it, and that's where the deepfake thing comes into scariness. Is like if I'm watching a TikTok of a screen of somebody recording their computer screen with their phone. And it's been compressed to TikTok and then shared on Twitter a million times. It's gonna look right. It's gonna look real. And
well, another scary thing is super sampling.
Sure,
so
upscaling.
Super sampling, which so you create a video that you know it's a deep fake, but you can tell there's like lines around the edges. You can tell it's imperfect, so it raises questions. So what you do is you lower the resolution until those details are gone, right? So you don't see exactly.
Or it's just all part of the artifacting that happens anyway.
So what you do is you lower it down to a quality to where those imperfections aren't seen anymore, and then you use AI super scaling to bring it back up to a sharp resolution. And the AI super scaling is trained on a model that knows what looks natural and what doesn't look natural. So now it restores detail that wasn't there in the deepfake that's still convincing to the human eye. And so when you combine all these different technologies, it's like we're heading towards the ability to create something that looks absolutely perfect.
Well, and we talk about it like there's an end. There isn't an end. This is just going to be an arms race of deep fakes and deep fake detection and all sorts of stuff.
Yeah.
Wow.
I even did some deep fakes myself because I wanted to see how easy it would be. So I deep faked myself into some videos, and I actually did not release them because they were so authentic looking when I was done.
Oh man, this for some of it stuff there's an app like face swap kind of stuff where it's pretty easy.
It's pretty easy. Live, is that what it's called?
Yeah, something like that. On the reswap or something. I've used that. I've been Princess Leia. It's been, you know,
it's a little jank, but it's like it's good enough almost. Yeah, it's.
But again, as you say, if you add if you got the rough idea down and then run it through a couple of AI things, you'd have. Yeah,
there's a GitHub. You have to be a little bit technical savvy to use it because it doesn't really have like an intuitive UI or anything. But if you go watch some videos, this is what I use. It's called DeepFace. Was it DeepFace Lab or DeepFace? Yeah, DeepFace Lab on GitHub. And it's basically all these Python scripts that you run using like FFmpeg, and then there's an AI neural network thing for training on images, and you feed it thousands and thousands of images and video content of a person, and then you just tell it whose face in the video you want to train on. And it will go through and train on that model, and it'll train until you tell it to stop. The more it trains, the more accurate it is. So you can let it train for a week if you want to.
Yeah.
So I let it train for like 7 days on. I pulled a bunch of my YouTube videos and I had it train off my YouTube videos because my lighting was more consistent. And so it went through and trained the model, and then all I had to do was import any video, open up the video, take one frame of it, and then basically say that's the face I want to replace with mine. And then I just set a couple of settings, and so that I could see if the lighting looked right, if the color looked right. And then once it was like pretty much dead on where I wanted, I just tell it the process, and then it would take like, I don't know, 4 to 12 hours depending on how long the video was, and it would cough out at the end a convincing looking deep fake. And I was like, holy crap.
Wow.
Like,
at the same time, it's great for celebrities because then they can, if anything embarrassing happens, they could just claim it's a deep fake.
Exactly. But the flip side of that's true too, where it's like now the media has actually got it wrong, where there's been deep fakes that have been released that they thought were legitimately leaked sex tapes from the celebrities. And they actually made it to the media and actually made it to like all these like legitimate publications going, oh my God, this just leaked or whatever, with censor bars and stuff. And it's like, no, that's not them. But nobody would be able to tell because unless they did have a leak somewhere, you'd have no point of reference. And because you have no point of reference, you just believe it. So it ends up doing the same damage as if it really was real. And it's like, that's a psychological warfare thing, right? And that's actually happening now. Like, so all the adult sites on the internet now have to ban deep fakes across the board as a part of their policy because it'll get them in massive legal trouble because when you look at somebody's identity, the face is what is the definition of your identity. Like you can do body swaps and everything like that. If it's the person that owns the face, they don't consider that the identity. The face is the identity. So as soon as you put that face on somebody else, you are stealing their identity. You are messing with their copyright, if you will, their natural copyright. So all the sites are having to ban that stuff. Like deepfakes are being banned across the board for that reason. And now we're seeing it used in like political stuff, like, you know, we just talked about earlier, where it's like that's where it's even more dangerous, because now you're not just affecting a single individual negatively, you're potentially affecting an entire populace. You could even potentially steer a war with this, because if you release a video saying, okay, it's peacetime, everybody come outside, we're going to celebrate and everything, and then everybody comes outside and they start lobbing bombs and blowing everybody up, and the guy that created this deepfake in his basement's like, haha, I just killed 10,000 people, this is so rad. You know, it's like that shit could happen. But then the problem is, like you said, the believability goes down if a couple of those events happen. So now when real peace is declared, the military's like, nope, we're not going to believe it. Unless Zelensky's standing right in front of us talking to us in person, we're not going to believe it. And they're just going to keep fighting, and they won't have a way to disarm tensions.
Yeah.
Well, I imagine we'll come up with some kind
of official sources.
You got the voice changer?
You got the voice changer working. Nice.
Yeah. Well, hang on. This is silly. I hear myself, and hang on. This is bad. I don't know how to turn it off.
You sound like your balls sucked up inside of you there, Aux.
Yeah.
It kind of works for D&D, though. I could see that as I could see you sort of running around as an elf or something.
Totally.
Yeah.
Hey, Review Playing and More, thank you for the $15.70 super chat, man. We appreciate it, brother. And Victor Sandoval, thank you for the $5 super chat. He said, I'm going to deepfake myself as the pizza delivery guy. Wink, wink. No, I did that. I took an old 70s Ron Jeremy straight up adult film, and I put my face on it because nobody else would. I challenged people to do this like a long time ago. And so
nobody wanted to see that.
And the end result was creepy as hell. Like, I actually felt like jank watching it back once the deep fake was done, because at first it was funny, but then I looked at it and I'm like, oh, damn. Oh. And this was before Ron Jeremy like got in trouble and went to prison for basically raping a bunch of people. But had that released, had I like put that out there like as a joke, then people might actually believe that I was him, or vice versa.
Was your previous career.
Yeah. So I don't know. It was pretty freaky. But yeah, I watched that back and I was like, yeah, this is not funny. This is terrifyingly. And the thing was, it actually added in the film grain and everything. So it looked so because the footage was older, it even made it easier to deepfake.
Yeah.
Because you could hide the artifacts and the edges and stuff in the distortion and the low resolution.
You know, it's interesting. Everyone's talking about the leaders and people, you know, celebrities and stuff. I think in a way, what's scarier is people who aren't. Like, what if it's like, you know, like what if you just want to make an ex-girlfriend look horrible or something? You know what I mean? Like, or something that's like people aren't as
revenge porn without the porn, basically.
Yeah, there you go. Like
not?
You could,
right?
And it just enough to make their lives miserable, or you know, I mean, it really is. You say it's identity theft, but on a level that was just, you know. Oh God, no! That's actually, think about it. There's a lot of really horrible. There's a lot of even in a war situation, you throw a face or you throw a you know. Well, I mean, they've done it in war before, right? People dressing up as the enemy and then doing horrible things to say that the enemy's done horrible things.
Yeah,
and, you know. Yeah.
Well, I mean, that's how propaganda works. Dropping the leaflets, right? Like during World War II, they dropped leaflets saying that, you know, oh, we defeated the Germans. Like, you're safe now. We defeated the Germans. Drop your arms and you won't be prosecuted or whatever. We dropped leaflets so that they would pick them up and be like, oh crap, war's over. Okay, cool. Drop our weapons and walk out. We'll be fine. And then they could, you know, capture them or kill them, or just hope that they'd leave the battlefield.
Right.
And so yeah, the psyops, right? That's like a part of war. But the thing is you have to physically fly a plane out there and drop leaflets, and you can only reach a small populace at a time. With a deepfake, you can potentially reach the entire world in a matter of hours. Like, if it's believable enough, it'll get escalated by the right people and gain momentum a lot faster before you can shut it down and warn the people that it's a facade. And so, like, imagine if, you know, the Ukrainian people, for instance, were watching TV, where they still have TV, but they're watching TV or whatever, and all of a sudden it comes on and Zelensky's like, okay, the war is over, everybody drop your arms, military, sorry, I can't reach you through official channels, so I'm having to broadcast this to the people. You know, we've come to an agreement, put down your arms and go home. And then the Russians just coordinate with that and just steamroll in and take everything, because there's no defensive, and they can't.
Well, isn't that kind of what they were trying to do with that Zelensky one? Wasn't it? Were they trying to say that he'd given up?
Yeah, basically. Yeah, that's the whole point of it, right? Is if you can get enough people to believe it, you can have them drop their guard.
Yeah.
And you could do the same thing vice versa with Russia. You could do a deep fake, you know, like with Putin, for instance, saying, okay, well, what I did was a horrible mistake and I'm sorry. And to make restitution, I want to give you guys all this money. Go to this location and we'll pay for you and get your house rebuilt. And then 1 million people show up and they just blow them up.
Yeah.
You know,
that was something that just recently happened too, and it was way better than the Zelensky one because again, it's like it came from like this official. It was cut up and redone. One, they weren't changing someone else's face, right? It was just Putin's face changed to match the words that they had wanted him to say, and it was like the same official background. It was basically the same speech he had given like 3-4 days ago, but just they changed the way his mouth was moving. Still technically a deep fake, but he was like it was like a declaration of peace and stuff. It's like, okay, we're all done, and it was totally fake, but it looks perfect because it's so rigid, right? Like if you keep everything the same, everything super perfect, it's really easy to,
which he does. He doesn't do a lot of moving around often in those things, or none of them do actually, for that matter.
Yeah,
that is weird. It's a bizarre place to find ourselves in, where like I just feel like there's just been this complete war on the idea of reality from all sides.
That's an interesting way of putting it.
Yeah, kind of reminds me of like when DNA evidence first started to become a thing, and they couldn't really get down to DNA markers. All they could do was basically like blood type. Yeah. And so there was people that were literally put on death row and executed because the guy that killed somebody had like a 1 in 6 chance of having your blood type. So a 1 in 6 chance, they're like, oh, well, the guy that killed that person had the same blood type as the guy we picked up 5 miles away, who we had no other thing linking him to the crime. And that was enough for them to say, okay, death penalty, and then they kill him, and then years later they pull the DNA evidence and run it again and go, oh, these markers are nowhere near the genetic markers. Like this dude,
boy, we got that wrong.
Yeah, so we've executed a lot of innocent people because of that. But again, it's because the technology is trusted in its infancy, and people are overly trusting. Same thing with video, right? It's like people are overly trusting a video. Well, if we see something on the TV and it's presented as true and not fictional, and it's within the realm of
face recognition, recognition too, right? We just completely were like, oh, cool, face recognition will just be able to identify everyone, and it's like it turns out it's as racist as the police information was put in, right? I mean, it's like every black man is actually a criminal according to this it's actually funny face detection stuff.
Well, actually, it's not funny. It's cringeworthy that there's a lot of technologies that surround photography and video that are super racist. Like for instance, Kodak film. The first Kodak film that they created actually keyed off of a skin tone of a light skinned person. So if you took a picture of a dark skinned person, it would throw off the color balance of the rest of the picture because the color balance and white balance was based on the skin tone. And I can't remember what it was called. Like they had a name
like makeup
they based it off of too, like Sally or something like that. But it's weird because it's like, they actually thought that was a good idea. They're like, oh, well, the majority of the population in this area we're creating it happened to be fair skin. So let's just use that as our white balance point. And then with the facial recognition, it was the cameras, right? The cameras, the way that they were creating the geometry using, what is it? Not stereogrammetry. What do they call it? Where they create a point cloud from just light from a single image. I can't remember what the technology is called, but basically it's how you can do facial recognition without using an IR projector, like say the iPhone uses.
Right. Phototelemetry. Yeah. Okay. Right. Yeah.
Exactly. And so the problem was people that had dark skin, it couldn't pick up on the edges. Where it blended together with the background. So you needed an incredibly bright light source for it to be able to pick up enough information to do facial recognition off of. But modern cameras, like they don't have that problem now. The technology, it just people didn't care, right? That wasn't a use case back when they created the technology. And now it is. So they're now factoring that into everything that they do. And it's like, but it's just ridiculous to think that back then they were like, oh yeah, this technology will never be used by a dark skinned person. Like, oh no, you don't. Why would we even consider such a thing? You know, it's just like,
it's funny. I mean, it's just that it's like if things are created if they're all created by like, straight white males, then, you're going to have, you've got a very specific slice of society that's going to be using that technology. There was one about there was a hand sanitizer. No, I had a hand dryer.
Huh?
There was a hand dryer at a resort that worked fine for the guests, but the staff had to pull a piece of paper towel to get it to trigger it.
The motion sensor.
The paper towel was white, and it was picking up. It wouldn't pick up their darker skin
because it was using like reflection of light. And
whatever they were using. Whatever they're using, it was not set. Yeah. But again, because that's, of course, you've got a company and it creates the technology and it tests the crap out of it, but doesn't think to test it on other types of skin.
You know, what'd be funny is a bunch of dark skinned people should get together and start creating technology that's just like super racist towards fair skinned people, and then proliferate it throughout the world, like based on something else entirely. And then when they shift to do the really cool thing with it, it just doesn't work, so that everybody else can feel what it's like.
No doors automatically open for you. No, yeah.
Oh,
you can't get one of the.
Adam said Dyson Airblades don't work on dark skid.
I believe it.
What?
Really?
Sure, I
Even
mean-
new technology doesn't work.
What do you mean it doesn't work?
Like the thing I
What is
don't
an
get-
Airblade?
Oh, the Airblade is
So you
Dyson.
stick those hand things and you go.
Yeah, you guys don't have those in Canada?
Oh, really? Oh, yeah. Okay, no, that's what you mean. Yes.
It's
yes,
like
yes, I know what you mean.
it feels like
Yeah.
like a fountain of air, and it basically like peels the water off of your skin
Hate
as
it.
you're
It
pulling
just
it off. It's really
sprays
weird
everyone
feeling.
else's water all over you. I can't do
The thing I don't get though is like why don't so change the sensor. We have proximity sensors. We've used sonar for
I
a
don't-
million years for sensors, and as far as I know, a sonar sensor, an audio sensor, is cheaper than a freaking photo
Yeah.
cell.
I don't know.
Like just put a freaking radar on it, so that way you know if anything comes in proximity to it, it sets it off.
There was another neat one I heard about. Google did a test of some kind of photo app that they had, and they sent it out for testing, and they couldn't figure out why some of the photos were showing up in landscape when they're supposed to be in portrait or vice versa, something one or the other. They couldn't figure it out, and then they discovered that no one on the development team was left-handed.
Oh,
So no one-
what?
Yeah, no one
Serious?
used their phone with the left hand instead of the right hand or whatever the deal was. And so there was just a
Jeez.
way the camera would get tilted that every so often would screw up their algorithm for
Because
sorting
they
out
never
the thing.
tested it because what
Wow.
a trip.
Again,
Wow.
this is why it gets when old folks get upset about this diversity thing, it's ridiculous. It's like, well, is it?
Yeah,
I mean,
right.
the reality is
No.
we do need diversity in tech because that's gonna open the tech up to more people. Like we've got these glaring issues like the left-handed thing. You go like, we got maybe left-handed people aren't the sons of the devil or whatever we used to think that the left-handeds were. You know what I mean?
Well, the thing is,
So-
they really don't know to test for the scenario until it happens, right? So obviously, you can't test for every matrix possible. No company can do that, right?
Right.
So it's like mice. Remember the first generation laser mice? How they wouldn't work on a reflective surface
Oh yeah, yeah.
because it would basically
Yeah.
just like snow blind the optics or whatever, and it couldn't
Yeah.
detect motion. Well, now they fixed that. Now they work on any surface. Hell, they even work on like modern laser mice will work on a glass table.
Right.
So it's like
Were they really?
Yeah, technology
On a
is advanced to
clear-
the point now where it's like you can even put it on a clear surface and it will reflect enough.
I haven't
of the
tried
light
mine
that
on
it can
that.
Figure out it's moving.
I always put a mat down. I should try that.
Yeah, and the resolution is good enough on them now that it can actually pick up the imperfections and micro scratches in the surface too, and use that as its basis of movement.
Oh, wow.
So yeah, no, I mean the optical technology has gotten a lot better. The first generation didn't work so hot. The second gen, now we're on what generation 5000 or whatever, and it works fantastic. You can use it on any surface. But again, it's like when they first created the mice, it's like nobody had glass desks, right? Everybody had like the obligatory wood desk, and everybody was using the same veneer and everything. So it's like when they were creating the technology and testing it, of course it always worked. But it wasn't until people started like, oh, now we got laptops. Like, so people might like, put it on a glass dining table, or somebody might set up their computer in an impractical location. And so
I can't imagine anyone ever doing that. I keep setting up all over the house. My wife's away right now, so I'm just like I'm at one desk one day and in a corner another.
Yeah,
all over the place.
And like camera sensors have gotten so sensitive now that it's like, you can be in a regular lit environment and actually have a decent picture with a lot of cameras. And it's like, go back even 20 years, 30 years. And it's like you had to have like big, giant metal halide lamps shining on you. And they even developed a makeup that would like clog your pores so that you wouldn't sweat because you were basically like, living under a heat lamp for the duration of the programming. Because actually, I had a friend
That's right. They
who
used to worry about that.
Yep.
They used to worry about that because you used to get a shine. They still worry about it a bit, I think. But if you get a shine in HD, it's very difficult. It can break up. It can break up on the sensor, right? Because you get like a glint off your sweaty forehead.
Yeah, and it's magnified if you have HDR, right? If you're doing high dynamic range content, it's like any shiny surface now becomes this like beaming, light, and if it's unintentional, it's really awkward. But like chefs will use it. Like I was watching this like Emerald and stuff like that when they do the show. They put on that foundation makeup on their face that blocks the sweat because they're working over heat. So not only do they have the studio lights to contend with, they're also working over an oven, and they got heat coming at them, and they can't run fans and stuff like that because they make too much noise and the airflow picks up on the microphone, so it's kind of stagnant air where they're working. So they basically just clog their pores so that they can't sweat for the duration of the show.
Yeah, they have like the dulling stuff. They used to put us on. They used to try putting it on me. I sweat so much. I'd sweat everything off anyways.
Yeah, I thought about doing it at one point because you can buy the stuff online. And a friend of mine who also does live streaming, they actually use it because they have hot lights and everything, and they're moving around in a actually surprisingly a test kitchen. It's a cooking stream, and so they use it. They just take it, and they just take a little out and put it. They push it in their pores and rub it around or whatever, and and then they don't sweat for a couple of hours.
And then you die like the gold woman in
the James Bond girl or whatever. Yeah.
Or
this will be a good idea. Let's paint her with gold house paint. That'll go over well. Turns out sweating is kind of an important thing that you need to do.
I heard there was like a rumor, like she didn't actually die from it.
She didn't actually die. No,
she didn't. But the Tin Man almost did.
Yeah,
she did get sick, though.
And that was from a reaction to something in the stuff, though, right? Like it wasn't. Again, it wasn't because like his skin wasn't breathing. He actually had like I think the original actor for the Tin Man had some allergic reaction to like the silver or something that was in the paint.
It wasn't.
Yeah, because it's probably like a lead paint or something. Knowing back then,
probably.
But I know the Bond girl, she had an elevated heart rate, and they had to get all the paint off of her skin.
Yeah,
like she didn't die from it, but she definitely like started having like tachycardia, and they were like, "Ooh," and she's like, "I'm not feeling good," so they had to get that paint off.
We just killed another Bond girl.
Yeah, well, what do you do?
The very next Bond movie, that's actually the premise of how they kill the villain or whatever, because it's like, wow, that worked so good on the last movie. That's terrible.
I find it's so hard to watch Bond movies now because we've got like real villains that are just so much more believable now. You know
I know it's like Bond, $1 billion. Like, what are you talking about? We just sent like $6 billion to one country to fight for like 3 days. Like, you guys are poor people.
G's in the house.
It reminds me of Austin Powers. Remember in Austin Powers when Dr. Evil wakes up after sleeping and he's like, $1 million. And everybody starts laughing because they're like, dude, $1 million? Shit, I'll take that on my account and give it to you. And then he's like, $1 billion. And then they're like, oh my God, he's serious.
I love God. The first one of them. Oh, actually, no, I actually kind of like all of them. Now I think about it, I like most of them.
Austin Powers is a good series. Like if you go back and watch it, it holds up.
But now I watch Bond.
It went downhill.
I watch Bond movies now, and they have to pass the Austin Powers test because like their villains are always like you're always like, it's just too Austin Powers for me. Like in this last one, I was like, Bionic Eye, come on. Like it was just, and he's called Cyclops.
I feel like Austin Powers is kind of like Blazing Saddles, like where it could never be made again.
Oh
like it still holds up. It's still funny if you take into account when it was created, but it's like it just wouldn't hold up in today's society. Like there's so many movies like that you could not remake. Like Blazing Saddles, there's no way you could make that again today.
And it also just doesn't. You see it again now, and you're like, I don't know. It's just not as good. Like it doesn't. It doesn't hold up.
I actually still love it. Like when I watch Blazing Saddles, I'm like,
I haven't seen it in like
smack to the face of racism ever. And that's what's great about it is it's like it uses racism to fight racism, but it basically shows you how stupid racism is. Like the whole premise of the entire movie all the way through is how stupid is racism. Like let's create this scenario and like the scenario back in the Old West, apply all the racist tropes of today or whatever, or when it was created, and look at how stupid you actually look. And the guy who's like the millionaire that runs the town or whatever is basically like a mentally deranged, sex addict, crazy guy. It's like, which is like not too far off from what we've experienced. Right. So it's,
all right, I have to see it again.
You should watch it again. It is a little cringy though to watch. Like it caught me off guard because a lot of the stuff, you haven't watched it for a long time. It's like the gratuitous use of the N-word throughout the entire thing. You cringe a little bit because you're just like,
there was an era there where I'd forgotten it was so prevalent in Pulp Fiction as well. There's a whole speech that
really? I don't even remember that.
Oh yeah. Quentin Tarantino has a whole speech and he's using it all the time. And I'm like, Baz was like, Dad, what the hell are we watching? I was like, dude, there was a time where there was a certain type of person who felt that they could use that word, like that it was somehow they felt that made them more somehow accepting. Like it was just, I was like, it wasn't me, but I knew people who used that term as if they somehow had an ownership of it.
Yeah, what was sad about it is growing up, like even where I grew up, it was like people would just casually use that word and it wouldn't even phase you.
Yeah,
it was actually worse to say like fuck than it was to say that word. And so
just get slapped for that, but not for
Oh yeah, exactly. And so it's like I think we've made some pretty decent progress overall. Yeah, we're not there, but we've made some decent progress. I think that's admirable.
We're getting there. Yeah.
But the only way, I mean, the thing is though, is like, God, the things like drugs too. That was the other thing. Like in the 80s, drugs. Remember all the drug PSAs? Where it's like, oh,
The
this is your
Reagans?
mind on weed or whatever.
Yeah.
Dad, I learned it by watching you. And like everybody that smoked weed was instantly like this degenerate that was like shaking, and it was like reefer
Was it
madness,
the
right?
60s? Yeah, was that when would Reefer Madness was like the 60s or something?
I think that was the
Oh,
late
even
60s,
older,
yeah.
older. Reefer Madness,
Yeah.
like the 30s or 40s.
Oh, is it really?
that
Yeah.
was-
Reefer Madness is old.
Where
old.
they're
like
like, we did a
crazy.
study and we gave them each this, and they all like went crazy,
36.
like they were on LSD or like high dose LSD or something like that.
Yeah.
And it's like,
Mm.
no, it turns out that's wrong.
1936.
Was it 36?
Yep.
Wow.
Originally made as Tell Your Children and sometimes titled The Burning Question, Dope
tell-
Addict, Dope Youth, and
tell your
Love
children.
Madness.
No, it gets funnier than that though, because while
it's
Reefer
insane.
Madness was running, you know what you could go to what you could buy at the store?
It's laudanum,
Yep, and Dexedrine,
opium
Opium?
juice.
Yep.
Yeah. Woo. Yeah.
Heroin
God.
over the counter, amphetamines
Like a cough syrup.
like meth over the counter.
Yeah.
And people got so addicted to what is it? Benzedrine. That's what it was. Benzedrine was a sinus medicine for treating your sinuses. You basically snorted it,
Speed.
and it was speed. That's what it was. The reason it made your sinuses clear was
ephedrine.
because it raised your heart rate like dramatically and
Which-
had an antihistamine effect.
Still technically in a lot of nasal sprays, pseudoephedrine, but in such a small dose, like you'd burn out you'd be all bloody nosed and gross before you get it and
Sudafed
jacked about it.
super weak compared to like Benzedrine.
Yeah.
But
Benzedrine
Sudafed you
was like
take
pure
as a
methamphetamine,
Sudafed you don't shove that up your nose though, do you? Isn't that like
Right.
a pill or something?
Yeah. It is.
Yeah.
It is. And Sudafed still can be pretty potent. If you ever taken like a double dose of Sudafed when you've had sinus issues, it amps you up pretty
I can't do
bad.
Sudafed. Yeah, I can't do the or the Sudafeds. I can't.
But that's the hypocrisy of the whole drug thing, like in the 80s. Or the other one was like the AIDS epidemic, right?
Yeah.
It's like I remember growing up and it was like every TV show, like they literally got to the point where AIDS was so demonized and people were so ostracized by it that they had to like create made for TV specials and stuff to like show kids that it's like,
didn't
oh,
understand
Timmy
it.
has AIDS, you can still talk to him. You're not going to get
Yeah,
AIDS from talking
yeah.
to Timmy.
But that's the problem with not talking about stuff. Right?
Yeah.
It's like if you're not going to talk about homosexuality, then there's no way you're talking about AIDS, and then all of a sudden it's like, well, then you're not going to talk about how this is a disease that isn't just for people who are gay, and like, I mean, there's so many. It's just information. It always comes down to information, like just what people are willing to, what they want to suppress and what they don't want to suppress. I mean, in this day and age, I don't understand why we try to hide anything.
Yeah.
Because it's all available in some way, shape, or form. I feel like it's almost better to get it out there, and then as opposed to people getting the wrong, especially with kids. I find like you want them to go online and look up sex. I don't.
No. Yeah, right.
I would rather just accept the fact that it could be happening a little younger than we expected, and let's go with that. But I don't want them looking it
You
up.
don't want your kids learning about that
No.
from the old hubs, man. You don't. Yeah,
Oh.
that's gonna scar them for life. They're gonna be like,
Yeah.
okay, it's my first time. Okay, where do I tie you up? like,
Yeah,
like
exactly.
exactly. We don't have the proper equipment to do this.
Yeah.
Like, no, that's a bad idea. That's a really bad idea.
Yeah, I just feel like that's the. I mean,
That's
We
why I always
never
think it's
had-
funny. Like at our school, we have, like the PTA meetings and stuff. They always talk about like there's this war between like should sex education be taught at a younger age just because of the availability of things today.
what do they think that people are going to hop in bed because they understand it more?
Here's the funny thing about it though is like all the parents that are up in arms about it, their kids have like Instagram accounts and have full internet access on cell phones that they literally have at
This is
school
what I
with them
mean.
on the playground. Like you
But this
really
is
don't think these kids like even when I was a kid, I went to school. There's a kid that used to sell Playboys out of his locker.
Mm.
Like you could go to him and like give him like 2 days of lunch money and he'd pass you a Playboy and you could take that home and hide it under your bed. It's like nowadays it's like if you have internet access anywhere, you could literally be in a library for crying out loud on the computer. You will if you search Bing and Google long enough, you will accidentally even stumble across it.
Yeah.
So the idea of thinking that your kid is like so pure as driven snow that they're going to be able to participate in a public school yet never come across that or never have influence from other kids. You're dreaming. It's like it's better for them to be equipped and understand what's going on so they don't walk into it. It's just like one of the things I advocate for is like teaching your kids about scenarios about molestation and stuff at a young age. Like make them understand it so that they can avoid it because people prey on kids that don't understand it. If they do, they leave them alone.
I always said to Baz, I was like, if anything feels weird with anybody, you just let us know. Get out of there and let us know. I mean, because
that's what I
even
tell
if
my
you're
kid.
wrong,
I'm like,
who
dude, you
gives
will
a
never
shit?
be punished for anything.
Yeah.
Who gives a
like
shit?
that. No,
Yeah.
if you're honest and you come and tell us, dude, don't worry. We'll take care of it.
Yeah. But
It's
that's
like-
the whole, and then you get into the whole grooming thing and everything, where it's like they go down, they make one mistake, and then they get used. That gets used against them. Oh my god, it's like
I raised a blabbermouth. I told him secrets aren't worth keeping. Just don't. Don't keep secrets. Tell us everything. You'll never be punished for it. If anybody tells you to keep a secret, first thing you tell them is you're not going to, so that they don't even tell you. You don't want to know.
that's smart.
Because if you can't keep a secret, because that's the thing. If you talk to any people that have grown up who have a childhood molestation, like in the church, right, when it was really prevalent in the Catholic Church, still is today.
Yeah.
The kids that were targeted, they were told, like they were groomed into it by saying, okay, listen, this is a thing that's between you and God. This is something special that we share that you can't tell anybody else about. Otherwise, it'll hurt you.
Thing? Yeah.
So the idea being is they would test and make sure that the kid could keep a secret before they proceeded, because they knew that if
and the church is all about secrets and faith and trust and all this crap.
So that's why you want your kids to just be blabbermouths. Like if anybody asks them to keep a secret, be like, nope, sorry, I can't do that. And then they're gonna be like, okay, well, we're gonna check him off the list. We'll go after the kid next to him, And so if all the kids act that way, it makes it massively harder for these people to succeed, and if anything, succeed more than once. Yeah. So because a lot of people grew up and they're like, I didn't know, they told me, and they shamed me that if I said anything that I'd be ruining my family and I'd be hurting the people around me and stuff like that. And it was so they'd keep the secret, and a lot of them committed suicide, for instance, right? And so it's this huge burden that gets transferred off on them by these people, and then they're allowed to keep abusing. It's like, no, you want to create children that basically, when these people start going down this avenue and testing the waters, it's like, nope, you're going to jail.
Just go no.
You're going to jail, or a parent's going to come and
speaking of children,
shoot you.
I've got to go for 2 seconds because my nieces are here. I just want to say hi.
Go ahead, man.
The car is sorted out, and I'll come back with more coffee.
Woo-hoo!
All right,
nice
coffee. All right, David Powell, thank you for the super chat, $6.53. We appreciate it. Said David Hewlett, search on YouTube for Colin Furs. He built an underground room. Oh, I love Colin Furs. Neat. I watch all of his stuff. Yeah, he just recently built an underground bunker. That's like what he's known for. A lot of things. Dude's like set world records. And so he built an underground bunker in his backyard that's like really nice, like all metal, with concrete reinforced roof. He built it all himself. And so recently he built a tunnel that goes from his shop to his house, so he can go into the pantry of his house, go underground, walk underground over, and then up into his shop.
Right on.
So he never has to go outside. And it's a really cool looking tunnel. Like it's like a very professional looking tunnel that looks like it was built to stand up for 1,000 years. And yeah, no, I love his videos. If you haven't seen Colin Furs, definitely worth the watch. Nice. Jared Rose, thank you for the $5 super chat. He said, hey guys, love your content. Thank you. We appreciate that. Gimpy G, my man, thank you for the $5 super chat. He said, I joined late. How is Aux speaking exactly with my voice?
The chipmunk. That's funny.
This deep fake stuff is amazing. Also D&D this week. Woot. Yeah. I know. I'm excited. I've been feeling super duper like run down and depressed lately, just because I'm always hurting and stuff. So that'll be a really nice distraction. I'm looking forward to that. Victor Sandoval, thank you for the $2 super chat. He said, thoughts on permanent daylight savings time bill?
It's about time.
Yeah. I am so frustrated with losing that. Now, don't get me wrong. I like getting the hour back at some point, but
just pick one.
It throws me off.
That's all I care is just pick one. Just keep it the same. That's all.
Yeah, the time, like I understand like the premise behind doing it, like because during our solar cycle, the light comes in early and leaves later, but who cares now? And in like today's society with technology and like what we do, and it doesn't matter. It's okay. So you go do something at 9 a.m. instead of 10 a.m. It's like it's not that big of a deal. Bitchy Poo, great name by the way. Thank you for the $5 super chat. Said packing up and getting ready for PDX Land next weekend. God, I miss PDX Land so much, dude. He said, or wondering what critical piece I will forget this year. No, that's inevitable. Anytime you go to a LAN, you will always forget at least one cable or one controller or a battery or a microphone. Ox is down there shaking his head like he's never done it. Come on, bro. You know you have. You've never forgotten anything. Because
it's my actual like desk setup. So I just take everything that I already have. Take everything I already have. If it's plugged into the back of my machine right now, it comes with me. The monitor is going to come with me. The cables, everything.
What if your power cable's not long enough though? I had that happen.
Oh well,
I went to PDX Land. PDX Land, at the end of the cable, and I had to switch around to other people's cables and turn off their computer and stuff so I could get my cable to reach, and my computer had to be at an angle. And from that point on, I was like, you know what? 3-foot power cable works great at home. Doesn't work so great at PDX Land.
Oh, I think all of mine are 6.
And I think that's what they set up for.
Doofus self, man. When I had a lot more PCs that I was building and stuff, I bought like 10 of them on eBay for cheap.
Yep.
And I haven't even opened the package.
Dude, I probably
I'm
have.
dumb. I had so many extras as it was. It's like, oh snap! Is that my cousin? Is that my cousin Tegan?
Wait, what?
Is that really, or is this just a strange coincidence? There's no way it's a coincidence because my uncle nobody is going to be naming their kids like my uncle did. That's
Wait, what's going on right now?
I think my actual honest to goodness cousin is in the chat right now.
Oh wow!
Yeah, what's
That's
up,
some
man?
family here, huh?
That's tight. Don't follow me on the internet, man. That's weird.
What's their name?
I do weird shit on the internet. You shouldn't be here. Don't tell. Like this is weird.
Who is it? Who is it in chat?
Tegan McIntyre.
Oh, Tegan McIntyre. The guy said wins D&D.
I'm like 99% sure. There's, like I said, there's like no way that's not. Because who's gonna name their kid that?
I know Tegan. That's a pretty unique name. I don't think I've ever heard that before.
Yeah.
All right, we're gonna find out.
Cool.
I'm sure they'll let us know.
It should be next Thursday or this coming Thursday, I should say.
Yeah. I think it's
the 23rd.
Thursday.
The 23rd. Right?
Hey, me
23rd?
puppet yeah, it is.
24th.
Yep.
24th.
What's the 4th?
24th. Yeah.
Today?
My bad.
Oh, today is 19th. Okay.
Yeah.
Me puppet. Thank you for $5 super chat.
That's
So
tight.
Barnacules, you guys mentioned playing D&D. Have you looked into the infinity table for digital boards for games? I have not. Do you know anything about the infinity table?
Nope. Sounds interesting. There's a few different virtual tabletop.
We have confirmation, by the way.
Solutions.
Tegan
I see
is
it.
in fact your long lost cousin.
It's a long A
Tegan.
sound.
Tegan.
Long A sound. Tegan.
So it's like you're playing tagging. You're tagging somebody.
No,
Tag.
A long A. Tegan.
Oh, you got to go tag. So no tagging. It's tagging.
I don't know, I'm just messing around.
It's tag.
This looks cool. I like this. So this is it's like a screen. It looks like, but it's like a tabletop.
Is this one that you like play in person, or is this one you can play over like the internet?
I don't know. Here, I think this is what they were talking about at least.
I want to see. I want to click. Okay, so arcade1up.com. All right,
I think that's it. Yeah, it looks interesting.
It's like a Microsoft Surface, basically.
Yeah, that'd be kind of cool if you're in person.
Yeah, that's like an in-person thing. Although I bet you it probably has internet connectivity. A lot of these things do when they're these tabletop things. How much is it?
Probably like $300. Let's see, Target.
If it's anything like the Windows Surface, it's probably like $3,000. Nobody can afford it.
Target's list is it at $899.99.
That's actually not bad
outrageous,
considering it's like a giant LCD screen with a touch surface. Like,
yeah,
that's not terrible.
Which is this?
Oh, we're looking at the Infinity table on 1UP Arcade. It's basically like a D&D table, but it's digital.
I've seen
it's
it.
Like a coffee table, but it's digital. So I think that's a really good use of the technology. Microsoft actually created so Microsoft has a problem naming everything the same thing, and it confuses people.
Yeah.
So when you say Microsoft Surface, what do you think about? Right, Microsoft's very first Surface, like the Surface brand,
a big table.
Was a
huge big
table.
multi-touch table,
multi-touch table, and then it was a multi-touch projection system. Then it was above projection system that projected down on a countertop to help you with stuff in the kitchen and stuff. That was also called the Surface. Then they had the Surface tablet. Then they had the Surface Studio, which was
thing
like
that attaches to the
with the little puck on the screen and the video production stuff. And so they've reused the Surface brand a million times. It's just like Xbox with like Xbox One X and Xbox Series X. It's like, how the hell are parents supposed to know which one to get?
I don't know why they wasn't just a progression. Xbox 2, Xbox 3, or they could have kept doing circles. They could have just kept doing circles. 360, 720, 1080.
You know what my theory is?
Just kept going.
You know what my theory is on that? I think that they intentionally make it confusing so that when Christmas rolls around and the parents go in the store and they're all sold out of the Xbox Series X, they might grab an Xbox One X thinking Xbox X is the thing. So they grab that, take it, put it on the Christmas tree, and the kids are like, "Oh, we already got that one," and they're like, "Oh, well,
it's happened."
Yeah. So I mean, if you think about it from a marketing standpoint, it's like great because it's like parents are already confused when they're shopping for stuff, and if they know that you're not going to meet the production requirement for the demand by having something else that's that close in name, you run really good odds of the people buying that as the alternative. That's my theory, anyways.
I have a guest.
Oh, is that Huzzah creeping?
She is like the fart machine. She will click. I have a fan and a filter system down here now just so I can live down here while she joins me.
She's a room clearer, huh?
Awful. She's oh my god, she's a paint peeler.
Gross.
Dog farts
Yeah.
are the worst, man.
Oh my
Anyways.
god.
Any advice
just-
on
I'm-
where to purchase a quality video gaming PC desktop pre-built 4K less? What's the best operating system OS? Ugh, that second question's
What's
impossible.
the best operating system? Oh yeah, no, that won't
It
divide.
depends.
things
Just
at all.
ask
right?
yourself one question. There's really
Yeah.
only one question, and it's like, do you play Microsoft games and specifically Xbox ports? If you want to play console games on your PC, you're pretty much stuck with Windows 10 and Windows 11. That's
true.
the only options you really have.
Yeah.
If you have an HDR screen, if you have an HDR screen, then probably Windows 11, because auto HDR is literally the only defining feature that's actually available right now that works in its entirety.
Yeah, I'd
Like
wait
the
on 11.
Android emulation doesn't, I mean, it works, but it doesn't work that well, and you're super limited in what you can run on it without hacking it. WSL2, you can run Linux, but you can already do that, on, I think, wait, could you do WSL on Windows 7? You couldn't, could you?
I don't know about
I
7.
think WSL2 was added in Windows 10. So if you want to run Linux stuff, you're kind of stuck on Windows 10 too, if you want to run like a Linux hypervisor kind of thing.
But if it's just for gaming, are there any options? I mean, like Mac's useless for gaming.
Yeah, and the
I mean,
thing that
there's
sucks is I've yet to see anything that runs better on Windows 11 than Windows 10. Like all the gaming benchmarks I've seen, Windows 11 has more graphics overhead by the operating system than Windows 10 does, and rightfully so, because a lot of the desktop has been moved over to be accelerated where it used to sit on the CPU before. So obviously, if it's using more of your GPU, that's going to be less GPU that's available to the game. So, but it's negligible. I've heard it's like literally measured in single digit frame rates, like, 1, 2, 3 frames different. So it's not that big of a difference. Although there are some games that run incredibly slow on Windows 11 when you look at the benchmarks, but they're patching them so that they won't do that anymore. Do I think it's worth the upgrade though? No, I've been running Windows 11 on 2 machines for the better part of 3 months right now, even on my primary box. And I can tell you right now, if I could go back and undo it and go back to Windows 10, I would. There is absolutely nothing in Windows 11 that I consider earth-shattering, earth-breaking, or anything like really superior to Windows 10. I don't like the start bar. I don't like the start button. I don't like the
I think I upgraded my laptop.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I'm not a
I
big
think I
fan.
upgraded my laptop and the start bar keeps disappearing. I can't. Yeah, I just search for whatever app I want to run now.
Yeah, plus it's
Instead of
incredibly
actually
buggy. That's the other thing too. Lots of graphic glitches, lots of little hangs, lots of weird problems that are regressions, that are bugs that were fixed in Windows 10 that are now rearing their head.
Yeah.
But the most
Just
annoying
wait.
one right now that they're working on, and they think they figured out what it was actually. I've been talking to somebody at Microsoft, is the Control C,
Russia?
where the clipboard just doesn't work sometimes.
Sure.
In Windows 11, you hit Control C, you go to paste it somewhere else, and it's the old entry in the clipboard or nothing. And
Yeah.
you're like, why the hell isn't Control C working? Sometimes you can even right click and click copy and it will go into the clipboard and you'll paste it. And
It's because Russia got all the
Yeah,
source
that's
code.
right.
Why.
That's right.
That's why. That's F Putin.
Yeah.
That's the thing. You just wait.
That's the problem.
I'm
though,
actually
is
listening to a
mess
really
with
interesting book
everything.
right now about that.
What's that?
I'm listening to an audiobook right now called Sandworm, which is all about the sandworm virus. How that ended up trying to get into embedded systems and stuff. But
Yeah.
it's I actually don't know where it's going, but it's actually kind of a topical thing to listen to now because it's all about Ukraine as well, right?
I'm
Because
trying to remember the name of the worm that like took over the world back in the 2000s.
Like
Forest
Stuxnet? Remember Stuxnet was a big
no,
thing?
that
I wonder
wasn't
if-
it.
Is Stuxnet part of? I don't know where Sandworm's going. It may lead to Stuxnet.
It was a worm that literally the only thing that saved the world from it was like some clever dude figured out that it was phoning home. And he basically shifted the domain name and put a shutdown code on there to kill it after he reverse engineered
It
it.
was the WannaCry, wasn't it? Was that
WannaCry.
WannaCry?
That's what it was.
Yeah.
I think
That's
that was
it.
the
Yeah.
WannaCry.
That was a big one.
Yeah.
That was that was
And
pretty.
he just registered the domain. That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah. I thought that was.
yeah.
kinda-
So he just
that's kinda
registered the
good.
domain.
And then he went to
that told him
jail.
Shut down.
But then they arrested him, right?
I think so.
Then they arrested him. Yeah.
because he was or wait, the guy that created it or the guy that shut it down?
The guy who shut it down went to jail or got arrested because he, in the past, had done some kind of hacking stuff before. Like, before he went
I
legit.
didn't know that. I
And they
thought
looked
caught the
into
guy that
him.
Did it?
Oh, I don't know about that, but yeah, look, I may have it wrong, but let's just make up news.
Yeah, why not?
All I
That
remember
guy was my father.
So what I vaguely remember about the story was that that the guy that created the worm didn't know he was creating it to unleash on the world. Like he thought it was going to be used by a buyer, that he was basically like forced into it kind of to create this virus for somebody. But then when it was used, he used his knowledge of the virus to shut it down.
Nice.
So because he created it, he knew how to stop it, but he didn't stop it immediately. And I wonder if that's why they arrested him. It's
I
because
remember
one, he sold that one.
I remember the original Morris worm, which was like the first internet worm, was just a kid in high school, in university, who basically just wrote something to crawl the web for him.
Yeah.
And it just went. He just didn't keep track of it, and it took things down. But
yeah, well, Microsoft got taken down. The entire Redmond campus got taken down by a virus called FunLove back in 2001.
That sounds vaguely familiar.
Who doesn't want FunLove?
It's the dumbest virus ever. It doesn't do anything but just breed, propagate, and pop up modal dialogues randomly that says you have received love or something like that. It's like you.
Right.
It just pops up and says FunLove up in the top, and then the dialogue box says something like you've been hit by FunLove or you've received FunLove. And if you dismiss the dialogue, it'll just randomly come back at intervals. And so this took down the entire Microsoft campus because Microsoft back then in 2001 allowed a lot of the test machines and stuff to have high level access to shares to be able to write logs and stuff to them. And this virus propagated itself through NFS, Samba, like all the different file protocols. It could even propagate itself through FTP. So basically it found all these different methods to connect throughout the network, and it would find these paths where it's like computer A would have access to write to computer B, and computer B would have access to write to computer C, and computer C would have access to write to computer D, and it'd find its way very, very quickly through the network to be able to propagate itself. And then what it did is it renamed itself to run under the service host so it couldn't be detectable. And so I remember Microsoft, we had to completely shut down networking on the campus to wipe the virus off. I think it was a total of 3 times. We had to do full shutdown, purge the entire network of everything, and then put in firewalls and safeguards and stop the networking so that if any of it propagated again, it couldn't get across the network and infect everybody else. And it was a nightmare. It was an absolute nightmare. And the thing is, like, it didn't do anything. Like, it didn't do anything malicious other than propagate itself and pop up this dialogue. But why would that be so destructive? Why not just dismiss the dialogue or just live with it, until you figure out? Well, the reason we couldn't is because all the testing that was being conducted for the UI testing for the
end up releasing it.
This dialogue box would pop up and pull focus. And so it'd fail whatever test case was running. So this thing would just pop up. And that actually isn't the only time that ever happened to Microsoft. Another funny story is I used to work with a guy, his name was Ian. And by used to, I mean he got fired after this.
And his name is no longer Ian.
Yeah, right.
It used to be called Ian.
He made the mistake, and it was an honest mistake anybody could have made. But back in the day, if you guys are hardcore, you'll know what I'm talking about. Who here has used netsend before? The command net space send. Okay, so we got AuxxZillary. So back in the day, netsend was a really cool way. You could basically just put in a NetBIOS name or a WINS name, and it would send, or an IP address, and it would send a message from the command line that would pop up a dialog box on the target computer with that message.
Oh yeah.
And it required minimal access. It was enabled by default, and anybody could do it to anybody. So it was like it was the messaging system between computers. It didn't have any. It didn't have any access or anything. Yeah, so
I used to freak people out at the voicemail company. That's right.
So that was enabled by default as far back as I think it was Windows 2003 server.
I believe
They disabled it, and every product after that got disabled because of this one incident that happened to Microsoft. And what it was is me and this Ian guy used to send messages back to each other, like, hey, stop slapping yourself, or get to work, fucker, or whatever. And we'd send messages back and forth. Well, the problem with netsend is if you didn't type a valid name, like a valid WINS name, it would broadcast the message to the entire domain.
No.
So he typed net space send, and instead of putting in my computer name, which he normally did, he just put the message and forgot to put my name in there. Instead of airing out, it sent it to the entire domain, the entire Redmond domain, and every single computer, including Steve Ballmer and Bill Gates and Jim Allchin, all got a pop up on the screen that was like, "Hey Jerry, get to work, motherfucker," or something like that. And
stop slapping yourself.
Yeah. So what happened? It was crude. It was really crude. He had a bunch of cuss words in there and expletives. So it pops up on my screen, and I'm laughing because we do this all the time to each other. So I'm laughing. I'm like, ha ha. And not like 5 seconds after this pops up on my screen, I hear the person across the hallway go, "What the fuck is this?" And I'm like, "What?" He's like, "A dialogue just popped up on my screen. It's like, 'Hey Jerry, get the fuck to work,' or something." I'm like, No. What happened? And then I hear my boss down the hallway. "What the fuck?" And everybody starts coming out of the hallways. Like, everybody's coming out in the hallways. Like, what the hell? Do we have a virus? What's going on, or whatever?
Jerry hacked Microsoft.
Dude, it didn't take 15 minutes. 15 minutes is all it took before the guys in the black suits came to the lab and hauled Ian off. They came and grabbed him, escorted him out of the building, put him in a black town car, drove him to the edge of the campus, let him out at the bus station, and took his badge away. We never heard from him. Like, he emailed us later. But yeah, his job was gone. He could never work there. He was blacklisted at the company because now here's the reason.
Their software sucks.
It's not because of the net send itself. Like that was really bad. And honestly, if you're putting shit on Bill Gates' screen, you're gonna get fired.
Well, yeah.
But the thing that really did it is we were on day 28 of the 30-day mandatory data center test to qualify Windows 2003 server. And on the 28th day, this dialog box popped up on every test machine that was running on these data center racks and stopped the testing.
Oh God!
So
but again, that's not his fault. That's a problem with the software that shouldn't default to broadcast to everyone.
Yeah, exactly. And they fixed it, because of what he did, but they actually fired him for it. And I was like, son of a bitch, that could have happened to anybody.
Yeah.
And the thing is even if the name didn't resolve, like if you type the name of the computer and then type the message after it because there's just a space there and there's no quotes, if it couldn't resolve the machine name, it would assume it was part of the message. So really, for this to happen, all that has to do was the computer that you were messaging just had to be offline so that it wouldn't resolve. And if it didn't resolve, by default, it would send the message to everybody. It was, that was a really, 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 really bad day. But yeah, I couldn't believe it. So what they ended up doing is they called an emergency meeting. They qualified the test at 28 days and said it's good enough. Because if they had to reset the test, it would have been tens of millions of dollars. Because they would have delayed the RTM release of Windows 2003 server by a month.
So I feel sorry for Ian though.
Yeah, Ian got the shaft hard on that one.
Yeesh.
So that was pretty bad. But now that's why you don't have NetSend anymore by default. You have to enable it, but you have to enable it yourself, and there's security around it, and the ports are closed by default, so you have to open up the ports on the firewall. I mean, the truth is there's really no really good reason for it now with like all the different technologies we use for communication and email being so much more prevalent and everything. But back then that was like a good mechanism to be able to send messages and telemetry back and forth. Like, for instance, one of the things that I used it for, because I actually did use it for something back then, and we weren't just using it to harass each other. What I did is I'd run tests in the lab, and this is before we had automation harnesses that, gathered results and published them to websites and stuff. Back then, the way you do it is you'd go into the lab, you'd start a computer, you'd pull down the test files, and you'd run the test, and then inside of the test, you'd have it send a message to your box. Basically, have a text file with the names of the people that need to be notified when the test is running, how far it's along, and when it's done. And then it would net send your machine, so you could basically go start the test in the lab, because back then we weren't doing remote desktop because installing the operating system was part of the test. So we'd put that all in scripts, and then we could go back to our office and it would just periodically pop up a dialog box on the screen saying, oh, the test is this much done, this passed, or this, if something failed, it'd pop up and say this net send, this failed, and then the dialog box would have the name of the machine so that you could connect to the debugger and look and see what broke. So we actually did use it for stuff back then, but after that we changed everything, and then we just moved over to a system where it just writes text files on a server, and we would just pop them up in a web page.
Smart.
Microsoft did pretty primitive shit back then. That was the funny thing, is like everybody thought like Microsoft, this big company that creates this amazing operating system, like that they'd have all their shit worked out in the test. No, everything was held together with spit and bubble gum. Like shit was so simple, you wouldn't believe it. Like our first test, so back in 2000, when I started at Microsoft, the test harness that they used for stress testing the operating system, basically running everything at once on the computer to put it under maximum load and pressure to see if something breaks, they called it NT stress, and all it was a batch file that basically just opened up like 100 command windows at a time and just ran exes.
It was just a batch file?
It was just a batch file. And then what it would do is if a test failed, it returned a non-zero error code.
Yeah.
So if a test returns a non-zero error code, all it would do is copy the entire folder that the test ran in, because the test would usually create a text log, but there was no standardization. So it would just copy the entire test, including the executable and everything, up to a file share. And then we had a parser that would crawl the file share, pull out all the text files, and parse all that into an Excel document. And that was the test run. So that's how simplistic stuff was back then. It's like we didn't have, back in the 2000s, we didn't have like a fancy website that was running like, freaking, JavaScript and stuff like that to parse and process this stuff. No, it was all just scripts. They were running from the command line and file shares, and everything ran that way. The way you knew if a test passed is you would actually go look at the file share and make sure that every folder was accounted for, and that all the text files were finished uploading. So if something was missing, you would just wait and then just pull it again and wait and pull it again until everything you expected to be there was there. And then if it went overtime and that stuff wasn't there, you just fail the test and say, oh, it's been longer than 12 hours and all the files we expect to be there aren't there, so something must be broken. It's really dumb, man. It was a really dumb system. Hey, Meat Puppets, thank you for the $5 super chat. He said, Barnacules, you guys mentioned playing D&D. Oh, that was the Infinity Table one. Sorry, I forgot. Yeah. That one out of you. Oh, good old Microsoft, man. And even to this day, they still don't use their own test technology to test shit, which I think is hilarious.
Right.
Like they have Visual Studio, which has an entire testing framework built into it for unit testing and stuff, where it can actually like connect to remote machines running the Visual Studio test server and like queue up the tests and hook up a debugger and send you back all the information, like shit that companies use for developing their software. Microsoft doesn't use that. Microsoft uses a bunch of a bunch of scripts and a bunch of like, they even license active Perl because they run Perl scripts because a lot of the old school developers were Perl guys. And so they got so entrenched into creating this like really proprietary system, it got to the point where they couldn't even get away from it. As a matter of fact, one of the biggest ironies with Microsoft is you cannot build Windows without Perl. So active Perl, there's a script called timebuild.pl that is required to build the operating system. They've tried to move away from it for like 20 years and they can't because there is so much spaghetti code and so many dependencies that are like hardwired into it that every attempt they've made to get it to build clean outside of that environment has failed. So Microsoft literally has to pay for a license to active Perl, a technology that's predominantly for Linux, to be able to build Windows. Isn't that funny?
Huh.
But I guess it's just too much work to actually get rid of everything and start again.
That's
like
what it is. Yeah, they basically just program themselves into a corner, and they're like, every time they try to get out of it, they're like, no, the cost is just too high, and we don't really gain much. So let's just keep it the old way. And another thing that Microsoft would always do is just throw more processing power at stuff. Like, for instance, it took us like, I think it was 18 hours to do a build at one point in Windows Vista, because Windows Vista just got so bloated that it was taking like 18 hours to build. Well, that was too long because that didn't give the devs enough time to do their fixes and check them in before the next build cycle started. So they had to get the build down under 12 hours. And so instead of going in and optimizing the scripts so that all the dependencies and shit that were slowing everything down would speed up, they just threw a bunch more computers at it. They just installed an entire another computer lab and then just divided the workload up.
Well, that's kind of that's the nature of Windows, though, isn't it? I mean, it started off as this big bloated thing stuck on top of DOS, and the systems ended up getting fast enough to run it well. It wasn't that it got more efficient, particularly.
And then memory and processing power got cheap, so they were like, it's cheaper for us to spend $1 million buying, more metal. We call it heavy metal, right? To buy, or big iron. That's what we call it. We bring in the big iron to solve the problem than to actually optimize the software because the developers were more expensive than the hardware was. Because like to hire a dev team to do that work, it might cost you $10 million. To buy the computers, it might only cost you $1 million to achieve, a similar goal.
I've been playing with Visual Studio Code the last couple of days actually, because I have this giant nested JSON file that I'm iterating through. It's a fucking nightmare, but it's so much fun. But I got to say, Visual Code or Visual Studio Code, it's a nice little package.
It's my favorite dev environment to this day. I've used them all.
It's good. It's fantastic. I was doing some blockchain programming too. I was using a bit of the what's it called? What is it called?
The old razzle dazzle.
It's what do they use on the Ethereum blockchain? Solidity or something, or is that right? Solidity.
No idea.
Is that it?
Yeah.
Yeah, I was playing with that. It's heady stuff.
Yeah.
I don't understand most of it, but it's kind of neat. It's kind of neat. I just wanted to see how
people don't give Visual Studio the credit it deserves. I mean, it's digested Xamarin, so you can do cross-platform development, you can do mobile development and tie directly into the mobile devices. You can do Xbox development.
It's got extensions for everything.
Yeah, you can do anything in it. I mean, even just as a text editor, it's fantastic. I've yet to find another IDE that has IntelliSense as good as it does for any of the languages, including like Python.
Yeah, it's very good.
And IntelliSense is important. Like, yeah, it's cool to be a rockstar developer that just memorizes every single API there ever is and every new API that comes out every single day. But one of the things that IntelliSense really did for me as a software developer is when I started working at Microsoft, there was no IntelliSense. So back then, when I started developing, it was early Visual Studio that had no IntelliSense in it. So what we had to do was go to MSDN. Anytime you needed an API or something, you'd hit F1 in Visual Studio, it'd open up MSDN, and it'd be local, not on the web, not MSDN on the web. This would be a local installed indexable information store. And you'd go in there and you type in the names of APIs or type in sentences and stuff, and it would search this index. You'd find the API and get some examples, and then pull some code out of there. And it was a really slow, cumbersome process to do that. IntelliSense basically streamlined that process, connecting to a web server that's being updated all the time with new stuff. So it's like all you had to do is just remember like the very basics of what you're trying to achieve, or like the area that it might exist in, the namespace, and it would just take you right to it.
Oh my god, I find myself going like, did I type that? No, I didn't type that. And all of a sudden it's like it's just finished. It's finished the statement for me.
Yeah.
No,
I got to the point where I was just hitting spacebar or whatever and just letting it autocomplete. Like, so when I'm typing and developing, it's just like, 3 letters, enter 3 letters, three letters, and everything would just happen really, really quickly when I was at my prime. But
there you go, though. This is what's going to happen, though. Next thing you know, it's gonna be like Gmail, where it just finishes. It does the emails for you. We're all just going to sound exactly the same. We're all going to sound like robot versions of ourselves.
You got to look into this thing called GitHub Copilot. It's similar to the IntelliSense thing, but it's like context sensitive, right? So there's like some bit of controversy behind it or whatever, but like the point of it is like I think so. I was talking with this guy named Harrison Kinsley a couple days back on a work stream. He does like Python programming, machine learning stuff, and he was talking about it. It's an AI programming. It's a lot like IntelliSense, but IntelliSense will only look like the scope of it is fairly narrow, in context, right? This one is like it's not just your code. Like I think the way that he described it is that like it can hold something like 600 I can't remember the word he used, but 600 basically like flags of context. It'll look back through your code, and it like scrapes publicly available code on GitHub to try and guess what you're trying to do, and it'll paste in like full blocks of code. Because
is it a plugin for or an extension for code? It's got to be an extension. For code
here. I'll post. It's copilot.github.com.
Hey guys, hold on for a second. I gotta use the restroom.
Apparently, it's insanely powerful stuff from what they were saying.
Well, and this is where it's going to go, though, right? This is why I get nervous when everyone says, like, "Oh, kids got to learn how to code." I'm like, do they? They just have to know what they want to code, don't they?
Yeah.
It's like, because the reality is the process of coding is not going to be the same in 5 years as it is.
Oh no way!
I mean,
Yeah. It's a trip.
It's neat looking.
Yeah, I guess there's some hubbub because it's like they kind of there's like I suppose like some bit of ethical like finger wagging about it.
Someone else's.
Well, because you're it's like I guess it's kind of coming from a place of like plagiarism, right? But it's all publicly available code. So like not any different than if I were to go Googling on or searching around on GitHub and copy pasting from Stack Exchange or anything else like that. It's just
making it easier. Because that's what I spend so much time going back and forth between websites, looking up pieces of code to try to figure out why what I'm doing doesn't work. Yeah,
see, like, and Oltonian's got the right word here. Just because code is public does not mean you can use or replicate it verbatim in another project. If I just take one block, that'd be like me copying. Like at some point when it comes to software, whether you come to it from copy paste or from your own solution,
from your own thing, there's only certain
sometimes there's only so many ways of getting something done. So,
and once you found the best way, or someone's found the best way, then why would you want to?
Yeah,
you want to.
It's
why
like
would you then? I get it. I just
I get both sides. I get both sides, but honestly, in my experience, at least 50% of programming is copy paste from somewhere else.
Yeah, certainly from me. It's probably more than
everybody. I know for a fact that like a lot of code is just copying from Stack Exchange and fiddling around until making it work for your
That's what I've been doing for the last like 2 days. I've been having so much fun. I love it.
It always comes back around to the like you don't need to know the answer. You need to know how to find an answer. And
are they making money off this thing?
Maybe. I don't know.
Well, I'm just curious to know whether they're selling. I mean, because if it's GitHub,
not from what I understand. It looks
and GitHub is
technical,
all open. I guess I don't know. I always find that I find programmers get really antsy about this stuff too. I remember like on Visual Basic, I started using Visual Basic, and everyone's like, "No, Visual Basic is not a real programming language. It's not." I was like, "Well, it is for me because it helps me get stuff done." I just,
I never understood that. Like people getting all bent out of shape. Oh, I do it the hard way. Like,
yes,
okay,
I've done it all with assembly language.
Like, okay, you want a cookie? Like, that's dumb. Why did you waste all that time and effort? Like,
when I go to the when I buy a car, I don't build the fucking thing.
Right. Yeah, I stand on the shoulders of giants for a reason.
I don't invent a car. Yeah.
Yeah. It's silly. But I get it. It's like there was like that China, I think it was like a Chinese facial recognition company. They got in some finger wagging for scraping publicly available Facebook photos. Photos. They were
wasn't
scraping.
that Analytica? That was Cambridge Analytica, wasn't it? Weren't they the ones who got?
That might have been a part of their thing. I thought that was more about targeting ads and stuff.
Yes, they got into that, but I'm pretty sure.
I wouldn't be surprised. I thought.
Oh no, you know what it was? It's the new one. You're right. It's another one. It's
some face thing that they use in China.
They're using it in
cops and
they're
stuff.
using it in Ukraine now.
Yeah,
they're using it in Ukraine now because they want to start identifying the dead but it's called I can't remember, like True Face or something. I can't remember what it's called now. But again, the technology.
Somebody could have done that manually. You could have hired an army of people to just right-click, save as, right-click, save as, right-click, save as. But instead, they used software to do it, and it's like, I guess it's a little weird and scuzzy. Like it's not cool.
Well, what about
I guess?
What about that Trump thing? That Trump social media thing that they set up, but it turned out it was just a ripoff of an open source. The Mastodon. Rebranded. Yeah, they rebranded Mastodon or whatever it was.
Well, they'd robbed so that was like an open source. It's an open source thing, but they didn't credit them apappropriately.
No, they tried to they cut out. Yeah, they cut out the parts that said
Clearview. That's the Chinese guys. Yeah, Clearview.
That's it. Yeah. But that's apparently the Trump social site was actually just a direct ripoff, and they just changed a bunch of bits of. Bits of things saying who owned it and stuff.
Right.
So,
that's But that though is like an actual breach of the like GPL or whatever like agreement. You're supposed to credit that stuff.
Yes.
In a very particular way. Like there's rules.
And why
about
not?
That stuff.
Like why wouldn't? I don't understand why you wouldn't. Like
ego. Ego.
That's true. And they probably got charged a ton of money. They probably got charged a ton of money by whoever developed it, saying like, we created this whole thing for you.
I bet.
I know.
Yeah. Ugh. That's crazy stuff,
That is funny.
Yeah.
Feeling better now, Jerry? Feeling more
not so high.
Really? Not feeling good?
Yeah. I'm not. I'm
getting
sick.
Well, hey man, if you want to wrap it up and early, like that's fine. Like don't stress yourself out.
A little, you look
green.
No, I'm super pale.
Oh, that's just color correction.
I just went and looked. I got to go take my blood pressure here in a little bit.
Yeah, man. Be
careful. I've been having some weird shit happening with me lately. I don't know what the deal is. I'll just randomly start shaking, then my face gets flushed. I get nauseous, and then I go take my blood pressure, and it's like spiked through the roof.
Yo, I want to toss this out here. I kind of multitask because I get distracted with things. But I just stumbled across this thing called nobody.live, and it scrapes Twitch for streams with 0 viewers. It's nothing. It's a website solely dedicated to people with 0 or, I guess I'm watching this guy, so he has 1 viewer now. But like, it's
you just ruined it for him.
Oh, what a cool concept.
Yeah, I thought this was sick. I put it on the Twitter, but it's in the chat now too. But yeah, it's nobody.live.
Yeah, I'm sitting here. It's like a page that shows all the streams that have 0 viewers, basically.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Isn't that cool?
Dude, I'm gonna use this for a raid. Next time I stream, I'm just gonna pick a random person with a face cam and raid them.
Right on.
That's great. I'm gonna bookmark that, dude.
What a great idea.
I put that out there. I stumbled across it on a PC Gamer thing. But
that is neat.
So just throwing that out there. I think that'd be fun.
That's a really cool idea. I like that a lot, actually. Like small streamers, they need the support. They really do,
man.
Because it makes their day. Because like people ask me sometimes, like, how do I pick somebody to raid? It's like I love raiding my friends. Don't get me wrong. I raid Chris and Loyal Moses and all those guys all the time. But I really get a kick out of raiding somebody who just has like nothing, and all of a sudden like 300.
That was my kid. Even to my kid.
Even
dude,
me.
your kid's still the winner for best reaction ever.
So much fun.
Oh my god. Yeah, he's. I mean, like that's like he'll never forget that. That was,
that was an amazing experience. Yeah. Like that. Like I was even getting choked up over that. Like that was pretty cool because it's like people. It's all relative, right? It's like if you raid somebody who has like I've raided Linus before, right? Just because he was the only one that was streaming at the time, and already they won't even notice. They already have like 5,000 live viewers. If another 300 show up, it doesn't even change the radar. It doesn't even change the scope. So it's like they don't even notice.
Yeah. Well, they're probably at a point where they don't care anyways.
Yeah, but you raid somebody that has nothing. It's like percentage wise, it's like you just increase their viewership by thousands of percent.
And you never know. You find people like I've been giving people like some of the tech bandits will pick gamers and stuff that they like, and I'll raid them who have they have like 5-6 people maybe and you go in with a crowd of like 60 or something, and it was like, and
That's
they
so
were
cool.
like, they were so happy about it. I love it. Yeah, absolutely.
Actually, that's a good idea. Twitch should add it as a feature. No,
You can sort. You
it
can
wouldn't be
when you
hard
go
to
into
write
a
a
game.
script.
When you go into a particular like category, you can filter by low to high.
You know
Oh,
what'd
really?
be neat though is just to write a script that calls into Twitch, because I'm sure they're doing it too. They're just calling into Twitch's API and just doing a search for streams with their viewers.
Yeah,
But you could write a raid roulette plugin for your stream where it's like, instead of doing /raid to raid the channel, you just do and the bot will figure out and pick one, and then you can rate it. Like, I think that'd be kind of cool. Just like go index all things with 0 viewers or whatever, and then just pick one at random.
yeah,
And then rate
that'd be
them.
fun.
That would be cool. That would definitely be a really cool thing to do. Hey, Leviathan
That's
Prim,
neat.
thank you for the $5 super chat, man. Appreciate that. Oh, he's doing Legos. I love Legos.
Yeah.
Actually,
I wish I
Ox
had
can
time
answer
for
this
Lego.
one. Gaming
Oh.
Matty Rocks did a $2 super chat. Said, "What's a good PC or pink PC case doing a pink setup?"
The InWin A1 I think has a pink version. I think you can get the
InWin cases
I
are
think you
expensive
can
as
get
hell, though,
the
aren't they?
I think I mean, it's to me the InWin
Oh,
A1
that's
is,
nice.
is on par with other ITX cases.
Okay,
Did
good.
he-
That's a nice looking.
Did they say ITX or
It looks like it's an ITX.
no?
Oh no,
the
they
person
didn't
asking.
say. They
Oh,
just
they
said
doesn't
a
see.
game for a
because
pink setup.
They have a mini ITX.
Yeah, InWin's the A1 is tiny. There's a few actually. The pink's not an odd color for PC case.
I kind of like what they're doing with the RGB on the base. That's pretty.
Oh,
cool.
I was right. Yeah, so Cooler
yeah.
Master. If you want to stick with the ITX, Cooler Master NR200P comes in pink.
$219. Oh, but it comes with a PSU. Never mind. That's not bad with the PSU.
Oh
it
yeah,
does?
the A1. Yeah, the A1
Yeah,
has
it's a
a
650
built-in-
watt too, so you could put
It's
a
not
heavy
bad.
hitter graphics card in there if you wanted
Not
to.
too bad. Yeah, and then you can always hit up something like AliExpress or something for the weird off-brand Chinese ones that look like motorcycles and stuff. What is it? Gamias or something. GAMIAS. They're one that does all kinds of weird, like, I mean, they're like usually full towers, but they come in all kind of colors and RGB lights and stuff.
Miaz?
Yeah, I think that's how it is.
One
GAMIAS.
thing I want to share while we're talking about these mini ITX cases is don't listen to the required power rating on the back of the graphics card box. I got a 3070.
Oh, GAMDIAS. I'm sorry, GAMDIAS.
Damnedest.
GAMDIAS. GAMDIAS. I don't know.
Gambias. Oh, Gambias.
So I put a 3070 in that little machine that you built me, Ox. And,
The VCR shaped one.
yeah, the VCR shaped one.
Nice.
And so it only has a 450 watt power supply. And I looked on the 3070 on the back of the box. It says you have to have a 650 watt power supply. But they're doing that estimate based on the highest draw CPU and spinning disks. So if you have SSDs,
I mean,
I put it in a 450 and I run it at over 100% TDP and 24/7. It has not had a hiccup.
You don't
Not
want
a
to run
hiccup.
out
You're-
though, do you? I mean, like
It's been running like that for 3 weeks now, 24/7 crypto mining, and not a hiccup.
I'd love to see you plug it into one of those like kilowatt things just to see how much you're really pulling. It'd be very interesting.
Oh, just see how close I'm coming to the actual limit of that power
Yeah.
supply. Actually,
Yeah.
I do have a kilowatt. If I can find it, I know it's in a drawer somewhere around here. If I can find it, I'll plug it in and see what the draw is when it's crypto mining.
Do
That'd be
you
cool.
plug it directly into the power supply or just the wall? What do you?
I run it
using?
into UPS.
The kilowatt thing you plug
the kilowatt.
it. The kilowatt plugs into wherever you're either to the wall or your UPS or whatever, and then you plug whatever into it, and it'll read out what's coming into it.
What'll be drawing? Okay, yeah, all right. I think
Yeah.
we have one of those somewhere, but I want to get more of them because I love seeing what's. I don't know why.
They're not that expensive. I want to say on Amazon you can get them for like $15.
All right.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
they're pretty cheap.
I got to do a lot
they're
of
not
ordering
bad.
because Jane gets back on Sunday. So if I can get some orders in before Jane gets back on Sunday, then
I'm seeing for
I'll
just
be
under
okay.
30.
There's a
on
really
Amazon.
cool one you can buy. It's more expensive. I think it's like $100, but they make one that connects to your smartphone and actually gives you a live readout and logging.
Oh, see, that's
So
cool.
you can log the
That's
computer and go
very
back and
cool.
look at the graphs and be like, oh, this is where there were spikes of amperage, or this is where the power came down, and what were the ramps and slopes. But a regular kilowatt, I plugged it into the crypto mining rig from Puget, the big rack mount server.
Yeah.
That thing only pulls about 700 watts at full
I believe
load,
it.
which I was pretty surprised that it has 8
What are you
GPUs
crypto
in it.
mining? What are you mining? Are you mining Ethereum or Bitcoin? Or what's your
Dagger Hash Monero and then converting it to
Yeah,
ETH.
that's
That seems to be the most profitable. If you just mine ETH directly, it's like the profitability isn't high enough with power cost. It's better to just mine whatever the currency of the day is. And it always seems to be Monero, but apparently, you know, it'll change. Like with like NiceHash or whatever, they'll change the algorithm to whatever the most profitable is of the day.
And then they'll automatically change what you're mining.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yep.
Because NiceHash, you are essentially renting out your free processes, and so whatever the market, you know, is trying to buy space for, you'll mine whatever it is you're told to, and then you get paid out in Bitcoin.
Yeah.
Huh.
They give you some pretty cool options too. Like a lot of people don't like NiceHash though because they do take, you know, a pretty good chunk.
It was designed by a hacker.
Yeah,
but designed by a convicted hacker.
Is it really?
Yep.
That actually doesn't surprise me one bit.
Yeah. Good. Right on.
Yeah. No, I mean he's done it. Like it sounds like he's done a great job. But I don't think I've got that wrong. I seem to remember somewhere they were saying that it was actually designed by. Yeah, it was like and the reason why he's done a good job of it is that he knew the inner workings.
Yeah, he does what he's doing.
I want to start like. I love the business model. It's so dishonest though, but I love the business model of just being a middleman that just adds in a bunch of cost with no value. like one of the greatest ones. I don't know if you guys saw my Twitter rant last night, but did you see Patriot Mobile?
Oh, it's the Mariposa botnet.
I saw that. Yeah.
He was involved in creating the malware called the Mariposa botnet.
Oh shit!
Nice.
Okay, so this guy's done some bad stuff. So what you're saying is by running NiceHash on my machine, I'm almost definitely backdoored right now, and he can just use my computer to do anything. You know? It wouldn't surprise me.
It sounds like he's digital legit now.
Yeah. So this Patriot Mobile scam cracked me up.
So weird.
So you guys remember the Freedom Phone scam, right? So some guy basically trying to be a parasite because he realized that, you know, Trump supporters have a lot of money. And they're not afraid to spend it if they think that it's, you know, helping America or whatever. So this guy comes up with the concept of, I'm going to buy the cheapest, most insecure phone that China has to offer, the cheapest Android thing. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to sell it to people for $500 with just the vanilla Android operating system with a bunch of malware added to it that also makes him money. Nice. And I'm going to sell it to them for $500 when the phone retails for like, I think it's like $180 or $200. So he marks it up more than 100%, like 150% profit, and he's making money from the malware he puts on it. And sure enough, he throws that there, and then he gets the idea of, you know what, I'm going to go pay the Fox pundits like Candace Owen and stuff. I'm going to go pay them to advertise this phone and say that it's better than an iPhone. So they do, because they're
mobilizing freedom.
Every phone they sell, they get a $40 kickback. So now they're all claiming that they're using the phone that they're not. They're selling it to their audience and pocketing $40 for each sale without disclosing it. And they end up making millions and millions and millions of dollars. But
and donating $500,000 to conservative causes for every.
No! I looked into this. So the $500,000 that they're donating to conservative causes is actually what they're paying them to market the phone.
Is that hell?
They're just rewording it like, oh, it's going toward that's what they're paying. That's the marketing budget that they're actually paying to advertise it to the people that buy it, and then they're just spinning it as America. So
I gotta say, I'm kind of impressed.
It's a hell of a scam, right?
Yeah.
Because you're literally selling them the most insecure phone they could possibly have, claiming that it's the most secure device, and it's not. So,
are any of those phones legit? I don't mean the Patriot ones, but I mean, are there really truly locked down phones, like specifically just for?
I would think.
Yeah, you can install the what is it called? The open source version of Android that has no Google services attached to it.
Oh, just Android. Yeah, you can just download Android.
Vanilla. Yeah. Well, no, there's two versions of it though. There's an open source Android that's available to everybody, and then there's Google's doctored version that has all their services built into it.
Right.
But yeah, you're allowed to download and just freely use the operating system, and a lot of people have created their own secure operating systems based on that.
So their own little lockdown phones, basically.
Yeah. So now fast forward to Patriot Mobile. So somebody sees, wow, Freedom Phone was really effective at just selling, you know, ice to Eskimos. Let's do it too. So sure enough, you got Donald Trump Jr. is promoting like every tweet every day. Patriot Mobile, it's the only truly Christian mobile wireless company that cares about America and blah blah blah. Well, so I'm like, okay, I want to look into this. I want to see if this is like the Freedom Phone. So I go look at it. Immediately, every phone that they're selling, because they sell phones and service, right? So they claim, but through like, you know, people like Donald Trump Jr., Candace Owen, all the same people that fell for Freedom Phone, and profit from. They're like, they have their own network, and they're not bad like the big guys like T-Mobile and AT&T. They have their own secure 100% American networks. If you go look at their actual business statement for their license with the FCC, they buy bandwidth from T-Mobile, mark it up by like 150% and sell it back to their users without adding any additional value. So basically you're just paying for a T-Mobile contract and then giving them an extra $50 a month. Wow. And then on top of that, the phones that they sell, if you go down and look at the phones, they have an iPhone. They do sell an iPhone, but it's the lowest spec iPhone at the price of the highest spec iPhone. The Samsung phone that they sell is the low end $200 phone for $500. Every phone on their site, if you go to Amazon, you can buy it for 30% of the cost.
Wow.
And their company like netted like I think it was like $30 million or something last year because Trump supporters don't know to look at it. It's weird. It's like I want to do this like business where it's like just pretend that you're in line with like somebody's thinking. Like I want to create like a vegan slaughterhouse that still kills cows and sells steaks, but just tell them they're vegan steaks and they'll pay 10 times as much for them. And they're like, wow, this tastes just like real steak.
Cut to Barnacules in jail.
Yeah. Right?
I don't get how how does the FTC not go after these people for this? Because these are American companies, by the way. That's the one thing I'll give them. They might be selling China phones, claiming that they're American phones, selling a doctored operating system that is just full of malware and completely compromises their security. They might be doing that, but they are American companies. They are companies that are founded in America with American CEOs. Yet they're lying about everything. And it's a complete and total scam. So, like, I don't understand how these companies keep operating. Like, for instance, they were one of the biggest contributors to CPAC or whatever, right? Right. This Patriot Mobile. And you're like, wow, well, they obviously are making a lot of money if they have a marketing budget to do something like that. And that money's coming from people that think they're getting a better deal, that think that they're getting a super secure phone when they're still on the same T-Mobile network with the same T-Mobile SIM using the same T-Mobile this.
But only Republicans are going to listen to their phone calls then. That's the advantage. Only Republicans will have access to their text messages.
Well, unless it's the Freedom Phone. Unless it's the Freedom Phone, because one of the funniest things about the whole Freedom Phone scam is there's a reason why that phone is so cheap and why they selected it. And it's because the chipset in that phone is manufactured by one of the companies that was flagged by the United States for putting listening devices into their chips.
Oh, geez.
Right. So not only is it the least secure phone, China can listen to it. So if you have a Freedom Phone, you are effectively giving your information to China. And providing, but they were like, it's the cheapest phone because that's all they cared about was the largest profit margin. But I'm like, they're still around today, even after the scam sold all these phones and everything. And so many people are complaining, and the Better Business Bureau is just inundated with reports of scams from this company. They're still operating today. People are still promoting them, and they're still buying this product. And I'm like, man, if you do not have any ethics, just go create a business where you buy something. Well, actually, I just described every.
That is business. Isn't it? I was going to say that's every business. Just reselling it for much more.
Because it's like 90% of the people on Amazon just go to wish.com, order 10,000 of something for $1, and then sell it individually for $20.
Nothing wrong with making a profit. That's fine. If it's convenient, I totally get that.
But at least you're getting
something different.
You are getting value, though, because you're getting convenience, right? You're paying $20 for something that you could wait 3 months for it to come over on a boat. But
you could go search for it or whatever. Yeah, exactly. You can go to Alibaba and wait 6 months, but you're not gonna,
But with Freedom Phone, you don't get any value. There's zero. That's a zero value prop because you can get the same exact phone with a more secure, more capable operating system for a third of the price.
Yeah, right.
So that's not.
There was a Darknet Diaries. There was a Darknet Diaries episode that talked about these phones, these secure phones, and almost all of them were run by basically drug cartels, and then sold the information to law enforcement.
I remember that. What was that called?
There you go.
The operation where they basically seeded those phones into the drug cartel.
105. I put it in the chat. It's episode 105. It's and still my favorite podcast.
That wasn't that long ago. Wasn't that like just a couple of years ago?
No, it's recent. It's quite recent. Yeah, they're like literally. They were like they I guess somehow someone had got it. They infiltrated it somehow where they were literally the messages. Every message that was being sent was also being sent to the FBI.
I remember this.
Yeah,
I remember this because I think the way they did it, if I remember right, didn't they capture one of the guys and get him to turn, and he was the one that seeded the phones to everybody else in the organization?
May have been. Yeah, I don't remember.
Because I remember they turned somebody, and they're basically like, "We'll let you off as long as you provide these phones." Like under the premise that they're super secure.
I mean, you're a dead man having done that. Like the reality is, you'd have to be put in protective custody or something.
So they basically just sat back and let these guys commit crimes for a long time until they basically got all the information they possibly could, implicating everybody, and then went after all of them.
Nice.
Have you guys tried the Mint Mobile, the Ryan Reynolds' phone thing? Because that I just love that guy, and I'm so curious. I don't think I can get it up here in Canada, but which is ironic.
Weird, right? Yeah,
I'm curious to see if they're a reseller. Yep, they're a reseller for T-Mobile.
Oh, no doubt. Yeah, I mean,
is that what they are?
Most of the.
How do you make
if it's
money
not
doing that, then
if it's not the top, if it's not the big three, they're allowed to rent space on the the bandwidth essentially.
So Mint Mobile is T-Mobile.
Sort of. They're piggybacking off of T-Mobile's towers and stuff.
But then how I guess they're buying it in bulk.
You'll get throttled.
Prices
is the big thing. You're first in the list to get throttled before the actual T-Mobile customers and stuff like that.
Well, yeah, to some extent, but the way that they're making money is they're basically buying a package of bandwidth and then selling it in limited quantity. So like Mint Mobile, you're not going to have like an unlimited data plan at full speed. They're going to cap, even on an unlimited data plan, they're going to cap you down to slow speed so that you'll never be able to get beyond what they pay for that bandwidth.
Yeah.
And then they'll pocket the profit. And some people won't use as much as the other people, so they'll keep that profit. So there is
you just want a cheap phone. That might be why they're
and the cool thing is it does make sense for something like that, because Mint Mobile will say, listen, we'll give you a phone for $15 or $20 a month, but you're only going to have like, a 50 gigabytes of bandwidth.
Yep.
But you can't get that from T-Mobile. T-Mobile won't even give you a plan with that little bandwidth. Or if they did, they're going to charge you per gigabyte, and it's going to end up costing more than what Mint would charge you, because Mint's buying it in bulk. So there is a proposition for buying a bunch of stuff from T-Mobile and reselling it. However, that's not what was happening with Patriot Mobile. With Patriot Mobile, they're just charging you like 3 times what T-Mobile would charge you if you just walked into T-Mobile.
They're slapping an American flag on it.
Exactly.
And
America.
Yeah, exactly.
Makes a bald eagle noise every time you boot it up.
That's it. Yeah.
Hey, Yorkshire Techie, thank you for the $6 super chat, or actually almost $7 super chat. He said, hey guys, do you know of any software for watching HD DVD films? Oh my God. HD DVD films on a Windows 7 PC. And he said, will you guys watch the Eddie Hall v. The Mountain from Game of Thrones boxing match? Oh, I've been waiting. Is that ever going to happen?
Probably not.
Are they actually doing that?
I don't think it's ever going to happen. They've delayed that thing like 5,000 times. Either Thor gets cold feet or Eddie breaks something in his arm. That's
weird.
I think they've delayed the thing like 5 or 6 times now. I honestly don't think it's ever going to happen. I think they're going to be geriatric, like 80-year-old, like withered away men walking in by the time this pay-per-view happens.
Yeah.
HD DVD software, like the red ones, right? Like, I have no idea.
You have to have like a driver.
Well, you need to drive first. Yeah.
Well, actually, the drive's cheap. You can buy it on eBay for $5.
Well, sure.
So,
but then, I don't know.
Everyone's saying it's happening today.
You can do it.
Everyone's saying it's happening today.
What's that?
Everyone says that it's happening tonight. The fight.
No, it isn't. No fucking way. Hold on. How the hell did I miss that? I've been watching Eddie Hall's shit forever. I hate you, YouTube. Hold on here.
I hate you, YouTube. Yeah, well, there you go.
Have you guys been having problems with just randomly being unsubbed from channels you watch regularly?
I can't find anything anymore. I got people
every fucking day. Every day.
A video will come up and I'll go like, what? I follow those people. I haven't seen that.
Okay, Saturday, March 19th. Okay. So it says Hall against Thor will take place on Saturday, 19 March 2020 in Dubai via Hall's Instagram, updated the 20th of December. Eddie Hall put a stone over. Okay, wait. But it hasn't been delayed. Like this is happening tonight. Okay, so let's see. Eddie Hall puts on a stone over Christmas
in 1 hour.
Wait.
Well, apparently in 1 hour. It's in 30 minutes to someone else.
Where do I watch this at? I have to watch this.
Does someone have a link or something? Yeah.
Okay.
I'm not clicking anything ever again. Because my freaking wife's lost her Instagram account because of that.
I have to watch this, man. I've been waiting for this forever. I honestly just gave up. I honestly thought that this wasn't ever going to happen. This completely comes as a surprise to me.
I'd never even heard of it, but
yeah. Well, I can already tell you who's going to win. Eddie Hall's going to fuck him up. like I guarantee you, because you might think Half Thor is like he's the taller guy with the longer reach, but holy shit, if we learned anything from Mike Tyson is if you got a lot of strength and short little T-Rex arms and get on the inside, the other person's fucked. So I'd put all my money on Eddie. Eddie's going to destroy him. And I got to watch it happen. I got to watch it happen. If you guys don't know what we're talking about, so Eddie Hall was the, I think was it like 3 or 4-time champion of the Olympian or whatever, the like strongest man. And he was the one that broke. He still, I think today he still holds the deadlift record for lifting over 1,000 pounds. So and Thor came close, but nowhere near where he was, and his record hasn't been broken. He almost died doing it, by the way. Like he literally blew out all the capillaries in his nose and basically went backstage and collapsed after doing it. But holy shit. And Thor also has won a lot of those strongman competitions, but Eddie was the one that came in and upset it and stole it away from him. But the cool thing about Thor is usually strongmen are short on the shorter side. Not short like you were, but in comparison to the strongmen of the world. And because you're lifting stuff up above your head and everything, so everything is super hard the taller you are, right? To achieve the same thing. And but Thor Bjornsson or whatever, this guy from Game of Thrones, the mountain, this son bitch, like being like one of the tallest guys in the sport, was still kicking their ass for years. But it looks like he trimmed down a lot. They both did. Holy shit. These guys used to be just like huge, like pot bellies on them, and now they're just like ripped. I don't know. I'm looking at the picture now of Thor. I don't know. Eddie might get his ass handed to him. I didn't think Thor was that cut.
Well, like, are either of these guys like fighters, like proper?
They've been well, no, not
other than just qualifying. If this is like an actual match, like
they've been training for I think 2 years now, like actually trimming down and actually training with boxing trainers. So they're both formally trained in boxing for at least 2 years.
Neither of them are pros. Like they've done this for years, kind of. Not like, you know, they're not stepping in the ring with Mayweather or something. Right. No official matches. These are guys.
They should take out Jake Paul or something. They should do that. That'd be a matchup I'd want to see.
If he dies, he dies.
Trim they got though. Holy shit. These guys, like Eddie Hall was a butterball, man. Like he had a keg for a stomach.
Huge. He was huge. But that was huge. It wasn't muscle though. Like it was like kind of.
That's
like
the thing,
weird...
right? There's a difference between training for like bodybuilding, like aesthetics, versus like functional strength. The functional strength thing, you will have like a barrel chest. Like you don't get fat abs and stuff. Like you're strong
wall of muscle.
Like that's how they get that. Like it looks like a beer belly, but it's just rock hard because that's
that's why mine looks like a beer belly.
Yeah.
Mine looks like a beer belly,
a
but
big
it's
fucking rock and stuff.
Strength.
Yeah.
Well, the other thing too is you also have to have a higher fat percentage. So,
I bet
because you got to
that's part of it too,
feed
right?
the muscle even when you're sleeping, so you have to keep a fat store on you.
For like bodybuilding competitions and stuff, you'll dehydrate the 2 days prior and not eat anything, kind of stuff, like to cut up like that.
Well, no, it's the opposit with these guys. Strongman, they eat all the way through the vent and up to it. These aren't the guys that are cutting for like doing the physique stuff.
Yeah, that's what I mean. It's like bodybuilding for aesthetics is you cut before the show and you don't drink or eat anything and all that stuff.
Yeah, so you dehydrate a bit so your muscles stick out more and stuff.
Yeah, when they're doing physique, that's what they do. Man. They basically will drink alcohol and dehydrate themselves the night before so that all their muscles are super defined and their veins are at the surface.
So weird.
But these guys that do strongman, what makes these guys really cool is that they everything they do, all their eat. I mean, these guys will eat like 15,000 calories a day.
Oh, I bet.
And they're only training for one thing, and that is to lift a shitload of weight in a very short period of time. So it's all strength, no dexterity,
without having their intestines fall out the
exactly. But for boxing, that doesn't work. These guys, when they first started boxing, when they did this match, like Eddie Hall couldn't even stay in the ring for like a minute before he was winded. Because he can punch really freaking hard. Like he could punch harder as the big guy he was than he can as the trim guy, but he couldn't punch nearly as fast or as much. And in boxing, you can't just wear out in 30 seconds. You'll get your ass handed.
And it's a completely different type of muscle, right?
Totally.
I mean, it's not the twitch muscle thing or whatever it is.
Right.
I don't know. Who do you guys think? Who's going to win in chat?
That's
like,
cool, man.
I'm going to stick with Eddie just because Eddie is like my favorite shit talker of all time. like Eddie is basically like Conor McGregor, which means he's probably going to get his ass kicked.
Oh my God.
But Eddie Hall talks some big shit. And Eddie Hall, I think, has more heart in it. Like you can tell Eddie Hall wants this fight more than Thor does by a lot.
Oh, yeah.
So, but I'm looking at Thor right now and I'm like, that dude is pretty cut. Like that is not the Thor from Game of Thrones. That is not the dude that had the barrel chest and the big old man titties. That guy is like properly.
It's like, who was he in Game of Thrones?
He was the
mountain.
The mountain.
Oh, he was the mountain?
Yeah, he was the really, really big guy.
Heavy Bubbles. That's my favorite.
But not the nice guy. Was he the scarred guy? I'm so confused.
No. He was the biggest guy, the guy that had the helmet on all the time, and you never saw his face.
Ah, yes, with the evil face. Okay, got it.
He was that guy, and then the guy that's also huge looked small next to him. Like the guy that you see the face of, I can't remember any of their names, but the guy
I loved that guy. That was the guy who was looking after the I can't remember
exactly. Yeah, and he was the little guy, but if you see him in real life, he's huge. It's just Thor is massive. Like I want to say Thor stands like almost 7 foot.
Yeah, he's a big dude.
He's a big, tall dude. Like, and Eddie
my
Hall's
God.
huge too. But look how small Eddie Hall looks next to him. He's like a head shorter.
Oh my God, he is ripped now. Holy crap, he's lost a ton of weight.
Look at his abs though. His abs
Love
are
this.
like holy
They're-
shit. That was
they're
what was under
weird.
there the whole time.
They're weird looking.
That takes some training to do that. Holy cow. Like I will give it to Thor right now that he is definitely in better shape than Eddie is.
Wow.
Wow.
However, Eddie is really strong in the arms. Like Eddie has got a lot of power in his arms.
Oh snap! It looks like it's free on the Segi TV.
Is it really?
Yeah,
Oh my God.
it'll just
I'm gonna watch
it
this.
just sells all your information to Russia. That's all.
I don't care how they can have it. I gotta see. I've been waiting for this fight for
I'll take
years. I'm glad somebody said something. I would have been sad if I missed
Is that actually the fight?
Oh, snap.
That's a link.
Dude,
to
it starts in like 15 minutes.
Oh well, shit. We'll have to wrap
Well,
stuff
that
up.
works
Well,
well,
the
so I gotta
event
watch
the
it
event
anyway.
starts. The fight probably is like an hour later. I'm sure.
That's true because they
do all
got
the
to do
preamble
weigh in
shit.
and all that stuff, and I'm not all that interested. I just want to see Eddie just hand Thor's ass to him.
That's cool. This is gonna be fun.
Well, no, Roman. That's. Remember Mike Tyson? He said Eddie has no reach. Thor is going to jab him to death. I don't think so. I really don't think so because if you've ever watched Mike Tyson fight, the dude's got like fucking T-Rex arms. But that's how he can get that swing. If he can get in and just get that one punch to your jaw, you're down.
That's it.
Like,
man,
you don't want super long arms, like because
It doesn't matter how big you are. A good
no
shot in
matter
the
how
head.
good of a blocker you are, at some
Yeah.
point that person's going to get in on you. And once
Oh.
they get in on you, long arms don't work. So
Mm.
you know, punch it in like this. Like if you ever watched MMA fighting too, the guys that have really long arms, they can't do really.
I used to
hard
love
strikes in
MMA
close.
stuff. I just feel guilty watching it now.
Well, I
Just
mean,
people
they sign up
just
for it. I
beating
mean,
the crap out of each other.
it's not like it's compulsory. I'd feel bad. I'd feel
So you
bad
know
if
what it
I was
was?
like, get in there and fight. You die.
It was because I used to watch it, and then the kid would come in. I'm like, I'm uncomfortable with him watching it, so I feel like I should be uncomfortable watching.
Well,
it
let me
too.
ask you: did you guys watch UFC back before it was like on TV and
Yeah,
broadcast, like back in the VHS days, like
I
Hoist Gracie and stuff?
I think I've only watched it when it was on like on a TV related thing. I never
So,
actually, yeah.
when I was a kid, this is how far UFC goes back. Like, I didn't realize. Like, I had to think about this because modern UFC isn't like old UFC.
yeah.
UFC, I remember going to like when I was probably 13, going to Mike's Video Outlet and renting the. I don't know if it was called UFC back then. They might have called it something else, but you rented the VHS tapes of the fights. Like they weren't even broadcasted.
Wow.
And so you'd go and watch them, but the rules there was like only like I think the only rules back then was no hair pulling or eye gouging. You could do anything else, and those fights were so fucking brutal. They were like taking people out of the ring on stretchers every match. And
That's
it's
right.
not
That was
like
kind of
now.
their. That was a selling point, wasn't it? It was like this isn't like just a ring.
Yeah, it's
This
like to
is
the
like,
death. It's basically
Yeah,
like
yeah.
it's like Bloodsport. It was basically Bloodsport.
Yeah.
The movie was like based on this shit, right? Muay Thai or whatever. And that shit was crazy. And that's like back in the days of what was it, like Tank Abbott? Hoist Gracie was the little wiry dude that would just submit everybody because he could, if he got you on the ground, like you were screwed. He would just like spider monkey around you and like choke you out until you were done. Oleg
like that guy
Tokarov,
from
the Russian,
like the guy
that-
from Peacemaker.
Yep. Yep. But here's the thing is like it was weird because back then it wasn't the big guys that there was only two guys that won in UFC back then. It was either the really spidery wiry dude that could get the drop on you, or it was like the brawler, like the dude who was just like no specific martial art, just like a bouncer by day.
Right.
And those guys would just go in and dominate. Like oh god, what's the name of the dude that went to WWF? But Brock Lesnar.
Oh yeah, or Lesnar.
Brock Lesnar and like Tank Abbott. Those were the two guys that were just these huge monstrous guys that would just go in there and just grab you and just throw you around like a rag doll. And and it was wild watching that stuff. But now it's like modern UFC is a little bit different, right? There's a lot more rules. You have a ref to break shit up if it gets too bad. If somebody gets injured, they stop the fight.
Stupid rules.
I mean, well, they had to. People died. People
my God.
actually died
Man.
in the old UFC.
Man,
So,
I remember back. Somebody mentioned bum fights. I remember back in the day, early like either early YouTube or pre YouTube days. There was a guy. Oh crap! I just had it in my head. He was like just a Street Fighter guy. And I remember watching a video of him fighting in somebody's backyard or whatever and knocking dude's eyeball out of his fucking head.
oh shit! Yeah, Dan Severn.
Not
That was
even
They
another
used
one.
to do.
Not
They used to
even-
do. Yeah, it was the backyard brawl stuff. Yeah, I
Yeah.
remember. I'm used to. Those were all.
Crap,
those
somebody's
were
gonna
all
come in
video
and say
days.
it. I know it's big black dude. He did actually join like UFC proper for a little while. Dang it. But he had to have been like almost 50 back then. Kimbo Slice. Yep. That's it.
Kimbo, I
Kimbo
remember
Slice.
him. Yeah, the big black dude with the mutton
Blasted
chops
a
on
dude's. I watched the video of him knocking a dude's eyeball out of his head.
I never saw that one, but I know he was notorious for like multiple people jumping him in the middle of a fight, and he'd take all of them on. He'd rip his shirt off and just take like three dudes on at once. Yeah, he died. He died a while ago.
Oh.
I'm not surprised.
I remember him passing away.
Man, yeah, king of the web brawlers. I believe it, dude. That guy was. Wow.
Oh, actually, you want to watch
2 years back? Damn.
Did you know in Russia they still have a bare knuckle boxing league?
Right on.
So I think that's illegal in the United States. I don't think you can
I would
televise
think
bare
so.
knuckle
I would
boxing.
think so.
But in Russia they still have straight up bare knuckle boxing. That means no face protection, no bite, so you don't have any bite to protect your teeth, and no gloves. You are just literally just bare knuckle fighting. And I mean, I don't think they kick.
Well, you won't be able to
like
watch it now because they banned all the Russian channels, so you won't be able to see any of that anymore.
Yeah, but it's like that shit's brutal to watch because you'll just hear like when they're punching, it doesn't seem like it's really doing much, but then their faces just start like swelling and turning purple, and their eyes like sealed shut in like the first like 45 seconds of the match, and you're like, shit. Yeah, they're not even allowed to use cape, nothing. They're not allowed to use any protective equipment whatsoever. And the ring is people. Like in these leagues, they just draw a circle on the ground and
them back in again,
shove them back in. Yeah,
that's humanity at its
and they
worst.
have a women's bare knuckle boxing league too.
Oh,
they don't fuck around. They're like, if we're gonna do it for the men, we're gonna do it for the women too. So they got women bare knuckle.
Hey,
boxing
might as
too.
well. Shit, if they're gonna get them,
equal opportunity, man. Get it.
Wow.
Wait, they have a bare knuckle league in the U.S. Holy shit! I did not know that.
It says UK, but from
it's in the UK. Okay, I thought it said US.
Oh no, and then I'm sorry. Kepa B says in US too.
Really?
Wow.
So that shit's like still legal on some level. That surprises me. However, FunLove, if you ever come to Washington State, I went and looked it up because I was really curious how this like superhero dude in Seattle was getting away with like boxing the shit out of these people in front of cops. If somebody challenges you to what is it called, like trial by combat or some shit like
they have a special word for it though, or a special phrase for it.
I think it's trial
mutual
by combat.
It's called mutual combat. You both agree.
Combat. That's what it is.
You both agree to fight, and it's like totally fine. So like you can actually call your local PD and be like, hey, I'm gonna settle this shit with my buddy or whoever. Like we both agree. I just need you to stand by. Like, it's a thing.
And the only law that you have to observe while you're doing it is you can't damage property, personal property. So the cops will arrest you if you like take a dude and throw him through a window of a truck, or if you fight in a business and break something in the business. But if you go outside and you are in any public area and you verbally challenge somebody to mutual combat and they accept, the cops can't touch you. You guys can literally just beat no weapons. If anybody pulls a weapon, then that's felony. But if you guys are just boxing with your hands, you can beat the ever living shit out of each other, and the cops will not intervene. They'll sit there and just watch it.
Yeah, you're supposed to. You have to
hold my freedom. Hold my Patriot phone. I'm gonna go mutual.
What was the name of the superhero guy that got caught selling drugs or whatever? What was his name? He literally dressed up like Batman and he went around Seattle doing a vlog on YouTube for years and years and years. And he'd just find like people committing crimes and shit and just challenge them to fights and then beat the shit out of them. And I can't remember what the name of the dude was, but he was really
his
famous
name's
in
the
Seattle.
Batman.
If you lived here, like you knew who he was. Yeah, Phoenix. Phoenix
he
Jones.
was selling drugs? I thought he was the good guy. I thought he was the good
he
one.
Turned out being a drug dealer, and he was doing all kinds of illegal shit. Like,
he was the big famous. Like
he was
the one who really brought it.
Batman.
Yeah. Wow.
And then he had like he got a club together of like 3 or 4 other people. They all put on costumes and went out basically just they were basically like neighborhood watch. They would just walk around Seattle and intimidate people and make their presence known so that drug dealers and shit wouldn't do stuff.
Yeah.
And they do public outreach, like go help homeless and bring them food and stuff. They did a lot of cool stuff. But Phoenix, if he saw somebody who was drunken and belligerent that was causing a problem on the street, he'd walk up and be like, you know, I challenge you to mutual combat, and the drunk dude be like, fucking let's go. And then he just pop him in the face, hit the ground, and it's game over. And he did it in front of cops. There's videos on YouTube of him outside of a bar with 2 police officers standing there, challenging a dude to mutual combat, then beating the shit out of each other. And the cops just stand there and they're laughing.
What a trip. That's so neat.
Wow. I did not know that was legal.
You have to inform the proper authorities. The fight has to be overseen by a police officer.
That's why the police were there then. Okay, I wondered about that. So
because
the police are there to observe that it's
they
legal.
break it up.
Okay.
Yeah, they break it up if an obvious victor has emerged.
Yeah, because it was
Yeah.
like in all of his
interesting.
videos, you
And
could always
keep
see cops
bystanders
present. And I'm
away.
like, is he going and beating people's ass in front of cops? Like, but no,
Nah.
that's a part of it, right?
Yeah,
For it
yeah,
to be
it's-
I guess
legal.
that makes
The
sense. That's
rule.
probably smart, actually. It's like saying like we're gonna set off fireworks, so we should have the
How
fire department
fucking
there.
weird
just
would
in
that
case.
be, though? You call
Right.
the cops and you're like, hey, can you guys get a car over here? I'm about to beat someone's ass, and I need you guys to watch it go down.
Hey.
Like,
Hey man, that's kind of cool.
I think it's kind of cool because it's like it's if you don't want to fight the dude, you don't have to. If you say no, he can't touch you. But if you're feeling spicy and you want to, like, prove your muster, and no destruction of property, that was the thing, because apparently there was one fight he had where he threw a guy against a vehicle and it set off the car alarm, and they did arrest him for that.
Yeah, because
God forbid someone's property get hurt.
Yeah.
well,
they're
it's,
right there,
it's
Jack
meant to
Anderson.
be just the two people or whatever who have agreed, because
Yeah.
like
Right.
Yeah, no bystanders. You can't hurt bystanders. You can't use people's humans. I mean, there's a whole bunch of rules to it, but it's basically like bare knuckle boxing, right? It's like
right.
you're if anybody pulls a weapon, like, and it could be anything, like just picking up an object, you're now in
Yeah.
violation. The cops will arrest you.
Right.
Jack Anderson said Jones was arrested for allegedly selling MDMA to an undercover police
Excuse me.
officer. At the time of his arrest, he alleged that he and his accomplices were also in possession of about 4 grams of cocaine.
Wow.
Yeah, and the thing was it was another one of those things, kind of like Hulk Hogan, where it's like, kids, don't do drugs. Every video was like, hey, don't do drugs. You could be like Phoenix Jones or whatever. And it's like, that was all bullshit, right?
Yeah.
Like Hulk Hogan's like, don't do drugs. And it's like all he did was like every steroid on the planet every single day. Oh, man. When you find out your heroes aren't heroes, right? Hey, Joe,
Never
Todd,
meet
thank you
your
for $5.
heroes.
That's super cool.
Oh, he's got a question for David. He said, here's some support and a question for David.
Oh, okay.
Have you seen the YouTube Shorts guy that talks about props? And what was your favorite prop from Stargate?
Probably the
So
Zat
YouTube
gun.
Shorts
I
guy.
love the little Zat gun.
Is that the one that like
That
Oh,
pops out.
the Zat
Yeah, yeah.
tail that's like,
it's
the
like
one that
a
pops up?
scorpion tail
Because
kind
it
of
actually does that. It
That's
actually
sick.
did it. I only ever got to use it like once in like one of those alternate reality episodes, and they handed me this thing, and I was like, because it was just like you press a button, it would go, and it was
neat.
like, and that was like one of my favorite ones.
Did it actually make the noise too, or was that all posed?
No.
Oh,
No.
damn. That'd be kind
It
of
made
cool
a noise
to
like
make
this.
Ka-chak.
Yeah.
It's a plastic.
One of the cool things, I didn't know this, but the Star Trek phasers from the original movies were like functional props that had lights inside of them and everything.
Oh wow.
Because back then, everything they did was practical, right? They didn't have like
Oh,
CGI
right.
was really
It'd be too
expensive back then
expensive.
to
That's
do shit
right.
like
Yeah,
that.
of course.
So like the little phasers and stuff would actually I don't think they made the noise, but yeah,
They
they would
lit up.
like actually do the light effect when you pulled the trigger and stuff.
Cool.
I was always amazed at how much detail they put into the props on.
Yeah.
the
Same thing with
Stargate stuff.
Ghostbusters. Have you seen Ghostbusters Afterlife?
Not yet.
No.
Yeah, really good movie. I absolutely loved it. Like some people were like, man, whatever. No, it pays a lot of fan service. Like if you like Ghostbusters and the history of Ghostbusters, you'll love this movie.
Cool.
But the ghost traps that they have in the movie and the props that they have, like the ghost detectors and stuff, they're all practical effects. Like they're all in camera.
Cool.
Oh, that's cool.
So it's kind of cool that they actually took the time to create like a device that's got like the LED things coming out, like moving up and down, and the screen on it is really showing stuff. And the ghost trap, when it opens up, has a high intensity like halogen bulb in it that's shining up to give it that beam of light
That's
coming
cool.
up through
Practical is
volumetric
just there's
fog.
something about practical stuff that just works so well. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
in the director, I can't believe I can't remember his name, but Zemeckis or no?
Is it Zemeckis?
I thought, who was it?
Was
No,
it
it's not
Zemeckis?
Zemeckis, is it? That was Back to the Future guy, right? Who did the
I don't know,
Ghostbusters?
it was someone big, wasn't it? I thought it was.
It was somebody big. It's like you'd recognize his name. But I remember he said the reason he wanted as many practical effects as possible is because when working with kids on the set, he said that they give
Ivan
such a better
Reitman?
performance when they're interacting with real tangible objects.
The guy's name was Ivan Reitman.
Yeah, right.
Ivan
The director
Reitman.
of
Ivan Reitman.
Reitman.
Yeah,
Reitman.
yeah.
Okay.
Absolutely. Yeah. That makes sense.
At least the original
Um,
Ghostbusters. I don't know
And
about
Jason,
Afterlife.
Jason Reitman was involved. Okay. So the
Oh, was it-
brothers.
Yeah, of Afterlife.
His son, isn't it?
Jason.
Isn't
Jason
Jason
Oh, maybe
Reitman
his
his
son.
son?
Yeah, because he's a young dude. I watched him in an episode of Adam. Adam Savage has that channel. Oh, Adam Savage actually did some props for that movie too.
Nice.
Oh, did he?
Yeah. There's like a whistle that they find on a shelf or something that looks like a little skull, and he has a whole tested episode where he made them all before he shipped them off to the set.
That's cool.
So I thought that was pretty cool. But
I'd love to make props. I think it's just some of the coolest stuff. Just being able to build little practical things that do stuff. Like there's I follow a bunch of cosplay people on like Twitter and stuff, where you have like they'll build like these wing systems and stuff that actually like We've actually got Comic-Con, I think, is live actually right now.
Actually, a friend of mine actually created the wing system that deploys wings from the back, like out like 6 feet in each direction.
Yeah.
And they used like what was it? It was like a scissor mechanism that they bought off like Amazon and modified. They like welded one side of it so it just folds out at the top, and then they just covered it in feathers.
Cool.
And it's like cool because
they
have a button in their hand with a wire going up, and they just can put their hand out and just touch it, and the wings are like. Cool. I was like, oh, that's cool. Then they had smoke come out, like because like create like the mist that would like drape down from them. I was like, damn, that is like cosplay is getting real, man.
Oh my god, I swear to God, it's better than a lot of their shows now because they just don't spend the amount of time and energy on the stuff. They can't afford to, right?
And you don't have to.
Do.
You don't have to for TV and movies and stuff.
Fix it in post.
Where that in part, but also like quality and stuff, right? Like you can get away with a lot. You can, like, I'm sure you know David on the sets and stuff. They can get away with hiding things and weird smudges and scrapes.
Even
HD is not going to give you like that super tip top quality. Like you're not going to notice a whole lot.
Well, I mean,
like
on
cosplay,
they used
in person. You got to get in there. People are looking.
They used to put contacts in your eyes for all the kind of eye effects. Now they just track your eyes, right?
Sure.
I mean, that entire show they track everybody's eyes and replace them.
That's crazy. I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's all digital. All of the eyes on
you know what I thought was funny though is the Gould helmets that the soldiers wear, the Jaffa helmets. They look like shit close up.
Oh yeah.
I watched a YouTube video where a guy bought one of the props because like at an actual auction. And it's cool because they're actually functional. There's one that's functional where it actually does do the lift up thing where it like drops down and lifts over. Yeah. But you just don't see the mechanics because they have two versions of it. One you look at from the back that doesn't do that. One you look at from the front where all that shit's exposed on the back that the camera doesn't see. And so he bought it and he shows some close-ups of it in the video. And it's like the paint is super blotchy. It looks like they just painted over like dust and dirt on it. The paint's inconsistent. You can see brush strokes in it. Yeah,
it was filmed.
They get away with that.
And now that's HD. Cool. I remember when we made the switch to HD. I was there while they were doing it, and all of a sudden they're like, "Oh crap, we can totally see that wall is fake."
my favorite effect though in all of SG1 though has to be the rubber MP5.
Oh yeah, the bendable.
The P90, the bendable rubber P90.
Wow.
If you watch really closely, because I just went through and watched Stargate SG1 all over again in glorious 4K. And the shit that I caught was hilarious. Like you told me the reason that I probably saw the microphone was because they cropped it probably.
Yeah, they wouldn't.
And then they uncropped it for like the high resolution version. So you'd see like every like probably 10 episodes you'd see a microphone in frame. But the funniest one ever was, and I had to rewind it so my wife could see it. She missed it too the first time around, but I just caught it this time. Is when Amanda Tapping's like running through the forest with this gun like at her side hanging from the sling, and she keeps leaning into trees and like jumping down behind stuff, and you can see the gun physically bending around her body. And then she gets up and she like grabs it to like pull it up, and it's like whoa whoa whoa. Like,
my favorite one was there was a couple episodes with storms on Atlantis, and there's a scene where they cut wide in the middle of a scene. And you can see a grip going like this.
No.
Oh yeah. No,
you
can literally see. You can see him shaking the tree. Go through. I can't remember what episode it was, but it's like. And I was watching it. I was like, whoa. Wait a second. Go back. And because at first I thought like maybe are we supposed to see someone there or something, but no, you just see him going, shaking the arm.
Wait, what are we hearing?
My bad. Y'all shouldn't have heard that.
That's okay. I was like, "Whoa, what the hell?"
You're not supposed to. That's weird. That should not have been an input. That's strange.
You weren't supposed to hear that.
Well, but that's the show. The fight's
starting. I got to run.
Hey, get out of here, man.
I got to run, my kids.
We'll wrap it up here in a few minutes.
When are we going to? When we got to figure out when to. Are we going to do like the chatting about characters live, or are we going to do it on our own and then?
I mean, whatever. But soon, man. It's got to be either today or tomorrow.
Yeah. Works. Well, then we'll just email each other then.
Yeah, let me know an email. Tomorrow would probably be better because I'm feeling like super duper shit now.
Yeah, tomorrow's better for me. As long as it's not too late, I'm good.
If you guys want, we can do that off camera just so that we don't have to, go and interact through the whole thing and be entertaining while we're figuring stuff out. And then we'll stream the live deal on Thursday.
Yeah, great.
We'll just fire it up and just let her rip.
Oh, then you get to meet everyone too, which is good.
Yeah.
too.
And then we can figure out like how we're going to do the streaming, because like I think I can just generate a stream key and give it to him, and he can stream from his side to the channel, and then he'll be able to control everything from his side and the screen sharing and all that stuff. It'll just be easier than trying to like send me a stream and then have me composite it and send it back and everything like that. We'll figure it out.
Cool.
All right, great.
But guys,
Well, look, I'm
D&D is
sorry to
coming.
run, but there's
Get out of here, brother.
things that must be done.
Yeah.
All right, lots of fun. I'm so glad I got to come back. I missed you
We
guys.
love having you,
Yeah,
here,
man,
dude.
it's always
Every
good.
chance you get. So go have fun
Right.
being the best Canadian you can be.
Thank
Okay.
you all. Well,
Yeah.
I have to be second to Ryan Reynolds. That guy's good.
Ryan Reynolds is amazing.
Yes, I can't beat him. He's got a freaking mobile company. I'm so jealous.
and a gin company,
gin and a commercial like
Whatever.
production
I don't care about that
company
stuff.
and-
He's got his own phone company. He's
'cause
spying
gin
on
is
everybody's phone.
Go
How
watch
great would
Project
that be?
Adam on Netflix too. It's really
It
good.
was-
with
that
him
was
in it.
really
That's my
funny, too.
guy. That's my
That
friend.
was fun.
Jonathan Tropper wrote that.
Oh,
No
really?
shit.
Guy-
That's-
I
yeah, my
loved it. I really loved
My
it.
showrunner on C wrote that, and I'd be
It
waiting
was
because I
fun.
got
It's good.
until the kid comes back. Everyone loves it. I know.
Yeah, it was fun.
All right, get out of here, David.
All the best. Cheers. Thanks, everyone.
Bye. See ya.
So, Ox, what about the SLS rollout, dude? Do you know anything about that?
No, I don't even know what you're talking
Yeah,
about.
somebody said apparently they rolled out the SLS. Isn't that the rocket that's going to the moon?
Oh,
that-
the big guy. Yeah, the launch
Yeah.
platform is in place. Yeah.
So yeah, apparently it's like ready to go. So
The
here, like
big
I got
Artemis,
the
the big
article up
Artemis
here.
one, right?
Let me get this one. Here, I'll put it in chat. All right, so NASA's rolled out its massive moon-bound SLS rocket for the first time. And keep in mind, I think the last thing we sent to the moon was the Saturn V, right? Which was like the biggest
Well,
rocket ever
we've
manufactured ever.
I think we've dropped like some. I think we've put little. There's an orbiter right now, and maybe
so
some
we've-
other
so
sort
we've
of.
taken shit there.
Yeah. Recently, there's like a really high, real high quality orbiter taking all kinds of pictures and stuff.
Okay, because the
Yeah.
SLS, I think, is the rocket they're designing to eventually send people to the moon, right?
I think this is part of the Artemis project. Yeah.
Okay, gotcha.
The Space Launch System is an American super heavy lift expendable launch vehicle under development since 2011.
Why aren't we just using SpaceX's heavy lift guy, the super heavy or whatever?
Good to
Like,
have
can that-
options.
Yeah, but you know, if NASA built it, it costs like $10 trillion.
Yeah.
like if Elon makes it, yeah, it's made out of
They
recycled pop cans, but it
probably
costs,
already
like,
had
one-tenth
it.
as much.
They probably already had a deal.
Oh, that's true. Because it's probably been
it says it's
developed for 20 years.
Yes, this has been manufactured by Aerojet Rocketdyne, Northrop Grumman, Boeing, and the United Launch Alliance, according to Wikipedia.
Oh wow.
So they and it says it's been in development since 2011. So they've been working on this for a minute.
Okay, so it's carried by the crawler transporter. So like the same,
Mhm,
I think that was the same thing they used for the shuttles, right?
Yeah. This is how
okay.
they move the rockets over to the towers.
Dude, that thing is cool, man. The
Yeah.
crawler.
Yeah, it takes like a
there's whole-
week. The thing
Yeah, it moves at like I don't know, like what is it, like a couple of 100 feet or something every hour,
day, maybe.
Like, or a day. It moves very slow.
right.
But the cool thing about it is they did a whole YouTube video. If you go look for just the crawler, the NASA crawler, they did a video where they talk about the track and like how they had to use different like rocks and sediment and stuff so that it won't compress. Like the way that they built this like road that this thing rides on, and the people that are constantly looking for anything that could upset the tracks and everything. It's quite the process.
I bet.
But it's cool when they speed it up. If you watch the time lapses where it just comes out of like the build, the what do they call that? The build bay or build tower or whatever, and they just like open up the side of it and the crawler just comes like rolling out
Neat.
with it on it. It's pretty cool. The time lapse, there's a time lapse on YouTube where they actually put hot rod music to it. It's like grrr, grrr, and you see it like drive out and it's like does a little parallel job and then like beelines to the rocket pad or the
12
launch pad. It's
hours.
awesome.
I believe it. Yeah.
So when is this thing taking off then? If they've got it on the launch
It
pad, I have
says-
to imagine it's pretty soon. Because
It says no earlier than June. No, they can leave that shit out
Wait,
there forever if they
seriously?
want. Yeah, I mean,
it's gonna sit
it's just a
open to the
rocket.
elements on the pad.
Yeah, why not? It's just
I mean,
a rocket.
You go through all that trouble to build the fucking thing in like a clean room basically, and then you just take it
Oh,
out.
that's
and let
all
it sit
on
in
the
the weather
inside
for like
stuff.
months.
That's all the inside stuff.
Yeah, I guess.
When you're if you're gonna launch a rocket into space, you think a little rain is gonna matter?
No, but still, it just seems ass to like build this amazing, beautiful vehicle and then just let it sit out and get like fucking algae growing on it and
I mean,
shit.
come on. It's like it's going to space. It can stand some
wonder-
weather.
why did they bring it out so early?
Probably to just checks and balance. You know, you got to make sure. Just poke it.
Oh, that's true. They got to like plumb it up and hook it up to everything, huh?
Yeah,
that probably takes time. Okay, never mind. I was just thinking, it just seems like silly. Like if you were gonna go do model rocketry, you wouldn't take all your rockets and your engines and shit and just go set them out in the field for like 3 weeks and then go out.
NASA's not launching cardboard tubes 300 feet into the air either. Like,
how big is this thing compared to like the Saturn V? Is it comparable?
Interesting you should say that, because here you go. This looks like this, at least the banner image for this link has like some big rockets. It looks to be shorter than the Saturn V by a little bit.
Okay, so it's got 15% more thrust than the
Which
Saturn
makes sense,
V.
because like
impressive.
It looks like the Saturn V was just the one like center rocket. This has got like the two little supporter guys on the sides too.
Oh, that's true, and those break off. So okay,
so it can be shorter.
It would have more.
They got the little extra boost there.
Dude, oh no, sorry, I got that wrong. It wasn't 15% more thrust. It was 15% heavier. It's 7.5 million pounds. Oh my god, I didn't realize they were that heavy.
Wow.
Like God,
it's all the liquid fuel. It's liquid fuel.
Yeah, it's got to be the fuel.
Compressed hydrogen and oxygen. Or I'm guessing. I'm sure it's something like that.
Well, it explains why they accelerate so damn fast, because like they're literally shedding weight at like an insane speed as they're accelerating, and the thrust doesn't back off. Like the thrust, they still have full thrust all the way to empty tank.
Right.
So the thing probably gets to what, a quarter of its launch weight when gravity is down to a quarter what it normally is.
Huh.
I wonder, is that what max Q is? I've always wondered about that. Maximum dynamic pressure, is that like where it's going so fast and it's experiencing so much pressure against it from the atmosphere because of its acceleration? Like is that what it is? Because I know they do a thing where they launch, and I suck at this shit, but they do a thing where they like launch the rocket, it accelerates up to a certain point, but then they have to back off the engines a little bit as they're going through this max Q, because if you go too fast, the rocket will just get ripped apart. And then they throttle back up once they get through that. I think when the atmosphere gets thin enough, and then they throttle back up and they go. It's like this little dip in the throttle that they do. And I was wondering, like, because they say that's where the fail point's going to happen. Like if you know something's going to crunch or something's going to like mechanically break, that's where it's going to happen.
Yeah.
I'm trying to look at do they have a chart that shows these things side by side? I want to see what it looks like compared.
Yeah, the link I put in there that starts with next big future had some pictures of them standing next to each other.
Oh yeah, okay, here we go. So holy shit, the big fucking rocket from SpaceX is the tallest.
Yeah, it's huge, right?
Oh my god, dude. It's taller than the SLS Cargo, which is even taller than the SLS.
Oh snap. Okay, so it looks like they rolled it out. This is from space.com. Looks like they rolled it out like I guess hold on, where I lost it. Oh damn it, I lost it. Well, they're saying dude. The next step is now that it's rolled out is they call a wet dress rehearsal. They're going to fuel it up on the launch pad, conduct a practice countdown, and run through all the things, run through everything except go. It sounds like, set to occur in a few weeks, early April. Trial will be followed by 8 to 9 days of additional testing at the pad before SLS and Orion are slowly rolled back to the VAB on the crawler. Then they're going to do some assessments. So
they're gonna fully fuel this thing and empty it before they do the real launch.
That seems to be the case. Yeah. It says they'll fuel it up, conduct a practice countdown, and essentially run through the full procedures leading up to launch minus burn.
The actual ignition.
Yeah.
Like, oh wow, I didn't know that. That's okay. So they're crossing all their T's and dotting their I's.
Yeah,
dude, it's crazy looking at this chart because like the Falcon Heavy is huge.
Yeah.
The Falcon Heavy is like it's basically 2 Falcon 9 rockets with like a double length Falcon 9 rocket in the middle. I mean, it's huge. And
cool.
And you look at it, and the SLS is almost twice as tall, and the BFR is another third again taller than that.
It's also meant to go farther. Like this isn't. They're saying like this platform. I guess it says, quote, the space launch system is the only rocket capable of sending humans into deep space. It's the most powerful rocket in the world, and Orion will venture farther than any spacecraft built for humans that has ever flown humans. That's a terrible sentence. It will stay in space longer than any spacecraft designed for astronauts has ever done without docking to a space station. So like this is the piece that's going to get us to Mars. Humans to Mars, at least.
Yeah, because the problem is you have to go, it's exponential size growth, because the more weight you have, the more fuel you need to get it into space. So if you need to get enough fuel into space to get you to, say, Mars, and back. You have to create
It's
so much more like weight and volume
so
to carry
weird.
that fuel by the time you get up there.
It's weird to think that
It's weird.
we would try to launch from Earth with the intent of going all the way to Mars. You'd think they would do it in stages where, like, okay, we're gonna get to the moon. We know how to do that. We've got that. We've done that a million times. It's totally fine. Whatever. Like, yeah, okay, we can't do the same rockets anymore, but we can get to the moon. Anybody can get to the moon. No big deal. And then, just like we were talking about, I think last week, they're able to extract like rocket fuel out of the dirt, essentially. So, like, why not do it in stages, right? Like, okay, we're gonna, or even like scrub out pulling rocket fuel out of the dirt. You could launch like fuel tanks up there for a little bit, and then kind of piece it together up there, and then go.
Yeah, that makes a hell of a lot more sense to me too. Would be just to create smaller vehicles that are just fuel carriers.
Yeah, just a bunch
Just
of
to
fuel
get the
pods
fuel up
or
there
something,
and then fuel the big guy in space and orbit.
and then yeah, you take another big old chunky, like two shuttles or something, kind of, you know, and then connect. And obviously, this is super simplified, but like I feel like why wouldn't you do it in stages like that? Why try to jump all the way from here to there when you the rocket to get the fuel that you need to get to Mars? It's outrageous. It's just huge. It's too much.
Yeah, it's like if you even think like with the Saturn V, it's like look at the launch size, like how big the whole vehicle was when it launched versus what actually reached the moon.
Yeah.
You know, it's like basically two porta potties tied together is what reached the moon, starting with like this giant ass like skyscraper of a spaceship.
Seems weird. Not
So
to
it does.
do
It does.
pieces.
Well, actually, the thing that I thought was cool is, did you see the is it Virgin that's doing the satellite launching where they're basically launching rockets from a jet flying at 60,000 feet.
Yeah. I like that.
I like that idea because the rocket's tiny by comparison.
The White Knight and Space Shuttle 1 and 2 and stuff. Yep. Yeah. You have this big airplane that takes like the small rocket way up high.
Yeah.
Lets the rocket go, and then they burst.
And because
out
the
the
atmosphere is so much thinner up there and gravity is less too, you use a fraction of the fuel to get the same payload into orbit.
Yeah.
And so they're using that, I think, for small satellites, like for individual launches of like smaller satellites. That's the way to do, because I don't think they can launch anything really big.
Yeah.
So, but still, I bet you it's way cheaper.
Right.
Oh, it's Virgin Galactic that's doing the mission with the 747. Yeah, that's what I saw. I saw a 747 that literally looked like it had a rocket mounted under its wing.
Mm-hmm.
Like literally, it's like it's going to battle, and it launches this thing, and then it gets out of the way as it's falling. It like veers off one direction, and then it basically just fires its motor and just makes a beeline straight up. Like I think that's cool.
Yeah,
but I like space shit. I should probably like study up a little bit more on it though, because I do feel like I'm Dunning-Kruger the shit out of this.
Right? Yeah, same.
It's so
obviously a very oversimplification of it. We don't have the infrastructure for launching to space,
and I bet you there's probably a good reason that we don't.
That's just it, right? Like, so this guy Pete Riley saying we don't have the infrastructure for launching to Mars from space. I think we might be going back to the moon as a first step. Yeah, no. Yeah. If you look into the Artemis project, that is kind of the long-term plan. The idea is to build like a gas station essentially between Earth and the moon. So if I remember right, and I'm sure NASA has the timeline that they're planning on, the idea is to get people back to the moon for a little bit. They want to have a like semi-permanent spot on the moon. Then they're going to build like a sort of like the ISS, but a little probably smaller as a launch pad for more missions that are starting in space.
Yeah,
is the idea.
And the thing is, like, getting stuff off the moon is a lot cheaper too, right? Because you're not contesting the atmosphere, way lower gravity. So even if you could get the fuel refined on the moon, getting it into orbit to fuel a craft that came from Earth would be way cheaper. I mean, provided they have the infrastructure there for like, to actually extract the stuff and do everything safely. It's infinitely more complicated to get the fuel out of the moon than it is just to get it here on Earth and then put it on a rocket. Yeah. So maybe that's what it is, just because there's no scarcity with the fuel yet. Well, I mean, there kind of is, but not really. And plus, if they move to hydrogen, then there'll never be scarcity with the fuel. So it's like, who gives a shit at that point? Like, if we can use hydrogen fuel, we have like a limitless supply of it.
Right eventually. On. That's cool, man. So let's see. Yeah,
Every
early Artemis missions.
What is it? Galactic is the one doing tourist stuff. Virgin Orbit. Okay, it's called Virgin Orbit. That's right. Virgin Galactic is the one that flies the people into space.
It's all
space.
It's kind of the same, right? Same company in a sense.
Yeah, they use a different, but
Oh,
the
the
one is
gateway.
using just the 747 to launch the rocket that carries the thing into orbit. And
Yeah.
the other one is like a crew carrier for you to, like, for entertainment purposes. Like, I can't imagine they're doing much research on that thing. I mean, their total time in weightlessness is what, like 5 minutes? It's not a lot. My orbit is so virgin.
Yeah. So the plan, let's see. The plan, they're going to use the SLS rocket and Orion spacecraft. Since it's near the end of the thing, the agency has a foundation needed to send humans back to lunar orbit. Blah blah blah. And then the gateway is a critical component of the agency's sustainable lunar operations. NASA will integrate the first two pieces on Earth, launching the power and propulsion element and the habitation and logistics outpost together in 2023 on a single rocket, followed by commercial logistics supply launch. In 2024, Orion will deliver its crew to lunar orbit. The commercially developed lander that will take the crew to the lunar surface will be capable of docking directly to Orion for crew transfer for early Artemis missions, and so on and so on and so on.
I can't wait to see humans land on the moon again, like in person. I want to know what that feels like. I'll be honest, I'm kind of burned out on the SpaceX, launching every week, and it's the exact same thing with no problems, absolutely flawless. It's like, it's just so routine now. It's like you're basically just watching the same thing. It's like going to the moon and watching like humans land and get out and actually run around on the surface. That's going to be mind blowing. I'm gonna have all the tingles.
I don't know that SpaceX is doing the actual lander. I think they're opening that up to what do they call it? Bids and stuff. I think they want someone else. They want other people to try and get in
that. But I think there was an argument
for the lander.
Your space.
Yeah, didn't Bezos try and sue the government
because he
to block it?
That's what I think happened, is that he had it, but then Bezos was like, no, that's not okay. Let's see here. Okay, so Artemis lunar lander court decision. Okay, let's see what we got here. Okay, so NASA was notified Thursday that the U.S. Court of Federal Claims denied Blue Origin's bid protest, upholding NASA's selection of SpaceX to develop and demonstrate a modern human lander. So no, SpaceX has it.
Okay.
Yeah, Bezos tried to get an injunction so that they couldn't do it, but no, they got overruled. So yeah, it looks like it's going to be Starship landing on the moon.
They got an article here on NASA from at least September 24th, 2021. There are 5 companies that received awards to develop sustainable human landing system concepts. Blue Origin Federation of Kent, Washington, hype. Dynetics, a Leidos company. Ooh, Leidos, I know those guys. Of Huntsville, Alabama. Lockheed Martin, Northrop Grumman, and SpaceX. So maybe that was just a step, and then SpaceX won. Like, their design is like the best one.
Yeah, and I think they actually did bid the lowest. But again, it's like Elon. He's a little bit of a trickster. Him, the guy. He can be like, we'll build it for 25 cents, and it cost $3 million. Whatever. But he got the bid. So
okay,
winner, chicken dinner. I think, dude, we should probably start wrapping up because I'm feeling a little bit like I'm gonna.
Yeah, that's fine, man.
So I should wrap her up. You guys, thank you so much for hanging out with us today. Sorry we didn't get to all the topics. Well, if you guys want to know anything about those topics or you'd like the links, just hit us up on Twitter and we'll send you a link. We'll talk about them next week.
Word up.
I got a little overzealous with the topics today.
It's all good.
Way too many there, but I had a good time. I hope you guys had a good time. We love you. Thank you for all the support, and we will see you again this Thursday. Actually, probably over on the Twitch channel.
That would make sense.
And we'll probably be doing it on Twitch since it's like a gaming thing. And we're gonna be playing Dungeons and Dragons. A lot of really cool people. David's gonna be there, Ox is gonna be there, I'm gonna be there, GamePG is gonna be there, a couple other people are gonna be there. It's gonna be fun.
It's going to be good.
It's going to be a good time. So you guys aren't going to want to miss that. If you want to watch our individual streams, we both have our streams that we do throughout the week over on Twitch TV. You can find all those links in the video description. There's also Tech Banditry's links, which is David Hewlett's operation that he does. Make sure you give us all a follow and let us know if you enjoy this content. Give us a thumbs up on the way out too, if you wouldn't mind. And I'm going to go and watch. Watch Eddie Hall beat the shit out of Hathor.
Yeah, right. That's gonna be cool.
And hopefully it doesn't go completely the other way, and everybody has to say I told you so. All right, guys. Catch you later. We'll